BoxBox Hub is an absolute essential for any Formula One fan, and the entire app with new widgets, statistics, localized race schedules, and countdowns, you name it. They even have support for Apple's new live activities feature with real-time updates during a race right on the lock screen, and honestly, some of the best looking widgets I've seen.
Welcome along, everybody. We are ready for more ALR action, and we are here in the Temple of Speed of Monza, and I've got a nice little face cam for you as well then to join us along with the commentary as well. So hopefully that will stay around. We'll have to wait and see how much the CPU usage goes up then, but we'll wait and find out. But welcome along to the stream then. We have got a nice little face cam then to join us along then for the commentary for tonight's race here in Monza, and we are ready to get going then for the qualifying here as well. Good stuff indeed then. Good stuff. Welcome to the stream then, everybody. Welcome to Monza as well. Then of course this is a preview then for the three division races that are coming up from Sunday, Monday and Tuesday the following couple of days then. But first we've got 100% distance around here, and this is going to be a 53 laps, I believe. I think it's 53 off the top of my head, that is, around the famous Monza circuit then, and we've already got a few cars coming up here in qualifying already then. Let's have a look and see who's going to be out on track first. And we've got Jenna coming out with the pit lane there, so Aston Martin also following us down the straight, and away we go then. Good stuff indeed. Hopefully audio-wise everything's all right as well. Fingers crossed the camera is not in the way of anything as well. But there we go. Then. If we need to move the camera, we can move the camera. But it is not all the problem then, really. Good stuff indeed. We are out and away then. Sick as muck already out on our lap. Same for Liam Yare as well. Then he is leading the way in the qualifying on the soft compound tyres as well. Then good stuff indeed. And yeah, welcome along to the stream, everybody. Welcome along to ALR. If you are new to ALR, of course, you can join us then as a member then in the YouTube streams. And of course, you get extra rewards, extra perks as well that go along with that as well. But otherwise, we can just sit back and watch the action unfold here as well. We've got 16 minutes left of the qualifying as we've just got ourselves started and underway then here in Italy. And looking forward to seeing what is going to be coming up then is a great stream coming up in the, I'm hoping so. So yeah, we'll have to wait and see. A very fast-paced circuit. This is actually the fastest race of the calendar as well then. That is. I do have to preface that because, of course, safety cars can cause a few delays in the streams and whatnot as well, in the races as well. But Liam Yare then is coming round the Parabolica turn, which has been renamed now, hasn't it? I can't remember what the new name of it is now, but there we go then. Who is that handsome man on the screen? I don't know if you're watching the right stream then, unfortunately, Gordo, but you have got the wrong stream, unfortunately, sir. But we are watching Liam Yare. Then I'm going to get a bit sweaty, I think, in this one because I'm already starting to overheat. And Liam Yare very deep into turn 1. That is going to be compromising his exit into turn 2, and I think has abandoned his lap time already then, unfortunately, for the Alfa Romeo driver then, car number 66 then. Evening all from Equaz as well. Howdy in the comment section. And I've been visualised, says Tango. Yeah, I have. Unfortunately for your eyes, if it's too bad, then we can take it off. Don't worry. It is a click of a button to get rid of the face cam. So yeah, don't worry about that. Then we can get that sorted. But it's just a trial then for this one. I've just thought I'd give it a go and see how it plays out then in the viewing spectacle, I suppose you could say. But there we go. Then Tango is in the comment section. Yeah, is on the track and heading towards the Ascari turn. Then, like I said, I think he had a bit of a mistake then in turn 1, which compromised his exit into turn 2. But not really maximising his time, unfortunately, then in the rest of the lap. Then through Ascari with no troubles then for the Alfa Romeo. Then down towards the Parabolica turn. I'm going to keep calling it the Parabolica turn because that is the turn that I am familiar with. Something Alboreto, isn't it, I think now, but something like that anyway. But there we go, into the final corner then, up to the line then for Liam Yare then, and it's a 21.0 then to set us underway here in qualifying then for the Italian Grand Prix. Sick as muck then with a 20.7, then 3/10 faster in the Aston Martin, I should say. Ginna though on the medium compound tyres a 20.6, great stuff indeed there for Ginna on the slower tyre as well. Then Lucas Percy a 21.1 then for the AlphaTauri driver. He is currently in the championship fight. I should have looked at the standings before I started, but unfortunately I didn't. But he is currently in the championship fight, definitely in the top 3 of the standings as it is. But of course the AlphaTauri is the slowest car on the grid, so we might see a few differences then as we get ourselves through. Here comes Kiki up to the line. It's a 20.2 then for the Mercedes driver. Both Mercedes on the front row of the grid as it stands, and that is looking pretty good indeed then for Mercedes here in Italy, though. I'm not quite sure the Italian fans are going to be too happy about that. Then Coupe into P4 then as Kamara Racer in the Alpine up into a 20.4 as well. Then Kamara Racer, of course, switched from the Haas then to the Alpine, and Kydell switched from the McLaren to the Alpine as well then in the last changes then before we start off the second sector of the season. Of course, this is a shorter season than the other divisions, so there's only 15 races this season then for the 100% league. And of course we have done the first third of the first sector of the season, then 5 rounds completed after the Netherlands last week. Vessia then with a 20.1 then into P1 as it stands in the McLaren. Another driver who's switched then from the Alpine to the McLaren, and he is back into the top steps as it stands as well. Then good stuff indeed. Let's have a look and see what his teammate Gordo is doing. He is in the first stages of his lap. Then movement is also on track then in the Aston Martin, and R2B is in the Haas. Then he's on his way then down towards turn 1 as well. Then let's have a look and see who's furthest along and try and find out what is going on. I think it's Martin actually. Martin is flying down the back straight towards the Parabolica corner, then into the final compound of corners and up to the line for the Ferrari driver, of course, at his home race then, well, not his home race, his team's home race, and up to P9 then 20.0 then for Martin. Good stuff indeed then from the Ferrari driver. Then Gordo into the second Lesmo, out of the second Lesmo, then down towards Ascari. Then he's going to get a nice little toe then, I think, from his teammate. maybe a distant throw then down towards Ascari as Vettel then jumps out the way into Ascari, goes Gordo then. He's nailed the entry point, then can he get himself nailed on the exit then? I don't know, I shouldn't say that. So there we go, as now down towards the Parabolica once again then for the McLaren, this time of Gordo, and let's see what he can do then. Can he get himself a competitive time on the board? Can he match his teammate? Can he beat his teammate then as we get to the finish line then for Gordo, his first outing here in qualifying here tonight. Then 12 minutes left of the session, up to the line, it's a 20.5 then for Gordo, then puts himself P5 and looking strong indeed then in the qualifying format so far then. Good stuff indeed. Lucas Percy is 6/10 up on his time. That would put him in the range of P5, I think, there with Gordo, then potentially with Kamara Racer as well. Then it's still room for improvement then for Lucas Percy. Let's see what he can do then as he comes down to finish off his second lap here in the qualifying as well then. And round the parabolic corner we go then into the final turn. And let's see what the AlphaTauri can do then. It's not too bad in the corners, then it's just on the straights. I think the AlphaTauri is going to struggle. Then up to the line, then it's P1 though, with a fantastic time of a 20.153, 2,000ths of a second ahead of Vessia though. And I think Vessia is going to be very unhappy with that then. But Lucas Percy is going to be beaming from ear to ear with that fantastic time on the board then. Great stuff indeed, even in the AlphaTauri. That is a pretty stonking lap indeed. Good stuff indeed. Indeed, I keep saying. Vintage is on the lap now, coming down towards the Ascari turn. Getting out of the way now. I think it's Gordo who is coming back into the pit lane, and after completing his lap then through Ascari, then a bit late on the braking into the entry point, and that's going to compromise his exit then, but he's got the speed still. He's going through very nicely indeed in the Rebel. Let's see what he can do then as we go down towards the final quarter then for the first time for Vintage, and we'll see what he can do then on the timing sheets. If you haven't checked, I've got an ALR hoodie on, by the way, if you haven't checked that out. It's very nice indeed. Go and get it from the shop. There we go. Shameless plug. Vintage up into the P13 with a 21.1, and then from the Red Bull driver. Good stuff indeed. Markey is on track as well then in the Williams, reserving tonight in place of X-Gamer, I think. And here he comes then round into Parabolica as well then to finish off his first outing here in Monza. 10 minutes left of the qualifying as well then as we come up to the line. Let's see what he can do then. It's P4 then for the Williams driver then, a 20.3. It's only, what is that then, about 2/10 away then from pole position as it stands then. His teammate, I think, just coming out the pit lane again as well then. So Coop then is in P10 at the moment. He's got a 4/10 of a second gap then to his teammate as it stands as well then. Good stuff indeed, moving up into P7 as well in the Aston Martin. Gordo's dropped down to P8, then Gino has dropped down to P9 then, but he's going purple in sector 1. Then he's got a 10th and a half a second improvement in the first sector. We'll get him wobbly out of the second chicane, I should say, into the first Lesmo as well then. Good stuff indeed then for Gino. Let's see what he can do on the timing sheets. Let's have a look and see if there's anybody further around. Then Vintage is coming back to the pit lane. I think then Barber's also out track going through Ascari as well. Now we'll come back to Gina. Not Vintage, sorry, Barber's coming through Ascari. Validator coming through Ascari as well. Then unfortunately for the Haas driver, he is back in the pit lane. Well, I'm guessing he'll go back to the pit lane anyway. Here comes Gino though down the next straight. He's got himself through Ascari unscathed. And let's see what he can do then down into Parabolica as well. Then I'm already I can feel my eyebrows starting to sweat already because I'm getting too warm in here already. But anyway, up to the line then for Jenna. Let's see what he can do then. It's pole position for Jenna then in the Mercedes at 20.041, and that is a 10th of a second faster than Lucas Percy as it stands at the moment. Great stuff indeed from the Mercedes driver. He's done a Vettel-esque maneuver then, going through turns 1 and 2 by going through the bollards instead of going through the actual turns itself. But good stuff indeed then. Kiki is on track as well then. Can Kiki improve into pole position? He could actually take away the pole position from his teammate Gina. Then it looks like he's 2.5 tenths up on his time. That would put him in the range of pole position. It could put him into the 19s here in Monza. Let's see what he can do then around the final corner, then up to the line for Kiki. Let's see if he can get himself on pole position. He can by a 10th of a second. Then it's a 19.943, and that is the first driver then here tonight then into the 19s as well, as I think the track is starting to improve then as we get ourselves through the session as well. Good stuff indeed. Here comes Equaz. Can Equaz hold a candle then to the Mercedes drivers in pole position as it stands then up to the line then for Equaz? It's going to be a 20.4, then puts himself P7 in the mix then for the top 10 positions. Good stuff indeed from him. Who we got then? Camera said then I'm not sure what Cam's asking there, but he's asking for a restart, and there's not going to be a restart unless there's a lobby issue. but I hope there isn't, to be honest, because I need to get this done in time. But there we go then. Coop coming up to the line, then Coop is up to P9, then 20.4, then has improved by over 2.5 tenths of a second, then into P9. Good stuff indeed from him. Liam, yeah, coming down the back straight, I think is coming back to the pit lane. He has improved to a 20.5 as well then, so that is good stuff indeed there from Liam, yeah, in the Alfa Romeo. Right then, and we've got a few more people in the pit lane. They're just trying to get themselves sorted. Vessia is back out on track then. Kydale is further along the lap though. Let's have a look and see what Kydale is up to. Kydale coming through. Ascari now here in the Alpine, his new car, of course, after switching from the McLaren. As we go down the back straight then towards the Parabolica corner, there's an Alfa Romeo just getting out of the way as well there, and that is all good in the hood. As here comes Kydale then down towards Parabolica then to finish off the lap time. And I think he's actually just harvesting his because he's not actually going to set a competitive lap on this one, but never mind then. I've completely missed it. Actually, I've missed his complete lap as well, unfortunately. Sorry, Kydale. He's up into P6 there, and I've completely missed the whole lap, unfortunately. I won't miss Vessia's lap though, up into P4 as it stands there. He's again not improving on his time, then validating through Ascari as well. Then unfortunately he is coming back to the pit lane then to sort himself out then, as we've got Vintage then as Nolsey, you handsome devil, then in the comment section. £5. If I get an OnlyFans going, I should get some good cash coming in then. But yeah, there we are. That is the situation we got at the moment then. Good stuff. My headset I'm not going to bother trying to fix that actually. Good stuff indeed then. Donate for the hair, and yeah, there we go then. That'll do. Good stuff. You'll be very good. You'll be very good in sector 2, said Tad Tango. Then I think he's talking about the Alpha Tauri. Movement said, "Hi guys, how are we doing tonight?" And then goes past his second run. Had an issue on his second run. Then he's currently in P12 alongside his teammate in P13 of Sicker's Muck. Then we'll come back to that one. It looks like R2 Beat is not R2 Beat. Sorry, New Zealand Cam reserving in the Alpha Tauri tonight. Then in place of Gerdman is in the Alpha Tauri. Then here he comes down towards the Ascari. Then for the first run, his first qualifying lap on the board. Then this is going to be very close indeed. He's going to be running out of time here in qualifying to get another lap on the timing sheet as he comes through Ascari very nicely indeed. Then in the Alpha Tauri, like I was Tango, I think was saying, commenting about it in the comment section. The Alpha Tauri is not going to be too bad in sector 2. Then it's just going to be on the straights. I think that the Alpha Tauri is going to struggle, and into turn 5, then into the final turn. Then car number 5 coming up to the line. Then let's see what he can do. He's into the pit lane, so he's abandoned his lap time. Then unfortunately, he's done and dusted in qualifying. Not done and dusted in qualifying. He's still got time to come back out, but he's done and dusted on that lap attempt. Here comes Farf. Then he is on an attempt here as well as we go down towards the Parabolica turn. Then for the first outing for the Haas car as well. Car number 15. Here we are then up to the line. Let's see what Farf can do then in his first attempt here in qualifying. It's a 20.8, I should say. Then puts himself P14 for the time being. Then good stuff indeed. Sicker's Muck is back out on track. So is Martin as well. Then it looks like his Sicker's Muck is further around as New Zealand Cam has retired in the pit lane, and that is him done and dusted in qualifying already, unfortunately for New Zealand Cam. So he is out of qualifying here tonight. Then Camaro Racer is on track as well. Then so is Jinner. I think we've got somebody further around though, haven't we? We've got Sicker's Muck, I think, is on the lap. No, he's not. Unfortunately, he's abandoned his lap time with the invalidation he's got there as well. Then so we'll come back to that one. Camaro Racer is behind Jinner on track. Here comes Jinner then trying to improve. Then can he get himself into pole position once again? Then can he displace his teammate then for that pole position? As we he's got a bit squirrely then losing it on the exit almost then of Ascari, and I think that will have cost him a bit of time. Then he won't be able to improve on his lap time, unfortunately. Then for the Mercedes driver, then he'll come back to the pit lane, I would imagine. Here comes Camaro Racer. There's all sorts of cars going off ahead of him, and Camaro Racer is in P5 as it stands then, and I think there's a Haas then just trying to get out of the way then, but Camaro Racer has abandoned his lap time, so he has called it a day then in the qualifying for this attempt then, I think, anyway. So there we go then. Martin has he has improved, sorry, to a 20.9, but he's not improved enough then to get himself further up the order into blimey, that's an interesting way of taking turns 1 and 2. Here comes Vintage then as we go into turns 1 and 2 properly, and through the first chicane then very nicely indeed then in the Red Bull. Good stuff indeed then. Right then, we've got I'm going to have to back out. I'm 3 seconds a lap down. That's because you're in the Alpha Tauri, I'm afraid. But yeah, there we are then. So that is that then for New Zealand Cam. Then he is not having a great time out there, unfortunately. But we will have to wait and see how the race unfolds then for the Alpha Tauris. So currently, there's one Alpha Tauri in P3 and that is Lucas Percy then looking to fight back, then potentially take that pole position away from the Mercedes pair, and we will see what he can do as well then. Good evening from Rocket Lizo as well then. Good evening to you, sir. And I think Karen said he's got the wrong setup on, so I think that's probably what the reason is there. But unfortunately, that is that. You've got to deal with what you got. Unfortunately, as I remember, we're loading the wrong setup. I think it was in. I think I loaded a Monaco setup then for. Maybe it might be in a Monza race actually as well then, but I had to try and battle on with 50-50 wings, and it was pretty entertaining to be fair. I enjoyed it, but it was a learning experience, you could say. Here comes R2B then down towards the parabolic turn to finish off his second attempt here in qualifying. R2B round the final corner, then let's see if he can improve then on the 21.1. He's currently going to be improving, I think. He has improved then by 0.3 of a second, then puts himself P16 behind his teammate of Farf, then a 20.8 for both the Haas pair, I should say, as it stands at the moment. Good stuff indeed. Then R2B coming through into the first chicane, and blimey, there was a flying Haas in the background there. I think it was Farf just getting himself through on this outlap then as well. Then Vintage is up into P11 there with a 20.5. Good stuff from Vintage. Then he's just going to get himself out of the way, I think, of the flying cars coming through. There's all sorts of cars on track now as my headset's starting to fall off. And there's all sorts of cars on track now. There's the qualifying starts to wind down here in Monza. Then, of course, we've got 53 laps then that'll be taking us through the next phase of the races. Marky, unfortunately, has invalidated his time. Kaidel, as Lucas Percy has retired. Then Lucas Percy's had an issue then at the first Lesmo, and he is out of the qualifying already. Then he's retired on track, I think. Then as his car is, I think his car's still moving actually. So yeah, I'm not too fond of that, especially with other cars coming through. The likes of Kaidel then on his lap as well. Then coming around the second Lesmo, then they took me out to Karen parked in the way. Then thankfully it's moved off the circuit. Otherwise that could have been a big problem indeed then for Kaidel as he comes down towards the Ascari chicane. Then he's not improving on his time. Then we'll come back to him as we've got Kamara Racing starting a lap as well. Then here comes Farf, I think, on an outlap. He's just started another outing as well. Then Marky has retired on the where's Marky retired? I think he's in the pit lane there. Good stuff indeed. At least he's in the pit lane. RTB then starting another lap as well. Then if you go down towards the start finish straight, then out of qualifying is Serious Mushroom, Hungry Styles, and New Zealand Cam Martin. Unfortunately has not been able to improve on his time anymore. Vintage is back in the pit lane, so Vintage is done. Kaidel is also done as well then, as he didn't make it to the line in time. Unfortunately for Kaidel, he stays P5 at best here in this qualifying as well then. Good stuff indeed. Let's find the Alfa Romeo then. It's an Alfa Romeo of Equaz then coming down the final straight. Then Liam Yeh has retired in the pits as well. Then P12 for Liam Yeh, who's like I said, not in the best car as Equaz sliding the car through Parabolica. That's going to be losing a bit of traction, losing a bit of time then as well. Then up to the line for Equaz, doesn't improve, and then I think he's weaving around then because he's a bit upset with his time. Then here comes Gordo up into P7 there, 20.265 then for the McLaren driver. Great stuff indeed then from Gordo as well. Good stuff from him. Let's see who's next across the line. I can't see who's next across the line, to be honest. There's a McLaren here of Vessia. Vessia takes pole position then with a 19.811, and a great improvement then from Vessia as well. Kiki has retired on the track. He's had an problem with the exit of Ascari, and that is him done and dusted in qualifying. Here comes Kamara back in the pit lane for Kamara Racer. Farf up to the line. Can he improve then? Can he get himself into the top 10? He has improved by a tenth and a bit then into P15. Stays P15, I should say. Then here comes R2B. Then he has not improved, unfortunately, running out of hers at the final attempt then as well then. But that is that, I think, for qualifying. I think it's that for qualifying. And Vessia then is your pole sitter then for the Italian Grand Prix, round 6 of the silver season, of the 100% league season, season 2 that is. And we have completed the qualifying here in Monza. Then Vessia then takes the pole position from McLaren. Then here, of course, where Ricciardo famously got his win as well. Good stuff indeed. That's a nice crash to somebody then in the comment section as well then. Gordo has said, fancy distracting us with that handsomeness, says Serious Mushroom. Then I'm not quite sure if you're looking at the right stream, same for Gordo as well. But Vessia then takes pole position here by a tenth of a second then in the McLaren. Both the Mercedes then P2 and P3. Kiki and Ginna then P2 and P3. Lucas Percy P4 after not getting his final run in, unfortunately for him, in the Alpines. In P5 and P6 is the Alpines. Then Kaido and Kamara Racer. Then Gordo in P7. Marky P8. Then Coupe in P9. Alfa Romeo of Equaz is the rounds up the top 10. Then Vintage in P11, Liam Yare P12, Moomin in P13, Sick as Muck P14, Farf in P15, R2 Beat P16, Martin in P17, and unfortunately New Zealand Cam, Hungry Styles, and Serious Russian then didn't get a lap in the qualifying.
BoxBox Hub is an absolute essential for any Formula One fan, and the entire app with new widgets, statistics, localized race schedules, and countdowns, you name it. They even have support for Apple's new live activities feature with real-time updates during a race right on the lock screen, and honestly, some of the best looking widgets I've seen.
Get going. Oh, sorry. Now we're ready to get going then for the race itself, I should say, as we've got 53 laps then unfolding here in Monza then, as we've got the drivers just getting themselves sorted with the strategies, with the fuel loads, with everything else as well then, and we can crack on then for the start of this Grand Prix in just a second then. Good stuff indeed. Right then, waiting for the drivers then to get themselves sorted so we can crack on with the Grand Prix itself then, and we can get ourselves started here in Monza then for 53 laps around here. It looks like it's nice and sunny for the start at least, so fingers crossed there is no bad weather on the horizon as well then, but we will wait and see then. Here we go then, ready to get started. I think the drivers then are all lined up on the grid then, and we can crack on then for the start of this Grand Prix after the formation lap, that is, because we can take ourselves through the formation lap as well, but we will get the telemetries up as well and everything sorted. It looks like nobody opting for the soft compound tyres then at the start of this race then, everybody on the hards or the medium compounds, and that is both Mercedes on the hards. We've got Farf in P15 on the hard compound tyres, same for Styles and Mushroom in P19 and P20. Unfortunately, they didn't get a lap in qualifying. Well, they didn't get a lap in qualifying, so they are at the back of the grid then. But there we go then. Here we go. We can get ourselves started here, ready to get going then. 53 laps, I was correct, and I guessed right then. Good stuff indeed. And we can crack on then for the remainder of the formation lap then. Vessia then leading us away then in pole position, then right behind him two Mercedes and an AlphaTauri of Lucas Percy. The championship contender then is Lucas Percy trying to get himself back through in this next phase of the Grand Prix, the opening phase of the Grand Prix. Then Kaido and Kamara then in the Alpines looking strong indeed as well. Then same for Gordo in P7, both the Williams then in P8 and P9. Equaz rounds off the top 10 then we've got Vintage, and he's in a bit of a sandwich then with the Alfa Romeo team. Then Alfa Romeo then P10 and P12, and Vintage in between then both the Aston Martins P13 and P14, both the Hasses P15 and P16. Then we've got Martin P17, New Zealand Cam P18, Hungry Stars P19, and Serious Mushroom in P20 then. Right then, we can get ourselves lined up on the grid then for the start of the Italian Grand Prix here in the 100% League Season 2. And looking forward to this one. Hopefully people take it easy into turn one, because it is a long race indeed, and not one that you need to worry about front wing. Hope you don't need to worry about front wing damage then on the first lap. But of course, in Grand Prix racing, damage does occur. It's not a contact sport, but it's sometimes a contact sport, if you get my drift. But we're ready to get cracking then for the start of this race now as well then, as we head into turn one at speed. Waiting for the drivers then to get themselves onto the grid then. Serious Mushroom then is at the back of the field then, just trying to get himself into his grid slot, and we can crack on then for the start of this race as well then. I think there's all sorts of things going on in the comment section, but I'll come back to that one. So there's all sorts of things going on. I think there was some incidents there in qualifying between a few drivers then, but we'll deal with that then after the race, and we can hopefully get a good camera angle then. We can't really. This is the best camera angle we can get then. The 5 red lights are on in Italy then, and the 5 red lights are off, and away we go then for the Italian Grand Prix. A good start there from Vesio on the medium compound tyres, I think, trying to cover off the Mercedes, and Lucas Percy already up into P3 then, trying to get himself past both the Mercedes into turn 1. It's going to be oh dear, all those contact. As a Mercedes spun around then from Jenner, then he's had a problem then on the hard compound tyres, then lost out then has Lucas Percy to Kiki as well then. Markey up into P5, then there's all sorts of action down the back of the field. Jenner's having an issue trying to get himself back in the grid then, restarted I should say. Kydell's dropped down to P7, then he's had a difficult start then on the medium compound tyres in P8. He's dropped down then 3 places I think. I need to find the the position changes. There we go then, up 6 places he's moving then, as Kydell then has dropped down 3 places like I said then. Farf and Martu beat then with a great start then, up 6 places each then for the Haas team, and looking to work together hopefully in this Grand Prix as well. Then there's an AlphaTauri of New Zealand Cam then all over the back then of the Haas of R2 beat then, who's now struggling then to keep up the pace I think after that fantastic flying start then. Great stuff indeed. Then out in front then Kiki is dropped down to, well, stays P2 I should say. Then Lucas Percy has gained a place then after Jenner had a mishap then at the entry to turn 1. It looked like there was contact from behind then for the other Mercedes driver, who's dropped down to P18 unfortunately then, as Gordo's also had a problem as well then, trying to get himself back up the field then past Serious Mushroom then into Parabolica then for the first time, and now Vessia trying to stretch his legs away then, as off we go then for the rest of the Italian Grand Prix. Hopefully everyone's got through unscathed. I don't know if Liam Yeh has not got any wing damage. Jenner is off the circuit at Parabolica then, and he is having a few issues out there unfortunately. Here comes Liam Yeh then on the back of Sickers Muck. Then Sickers Muck's had an issue as well I think there, as they both have I think Liam Yeh and not Liam Yeh, sorry, Sickers Muck and Jenner have had an issue as we go down towards the first turn once again there for this pair. Then let's have a look and see on board then as we go into turn 1 then, round the outside goes Sickers Muck. He's got the inside for turn 2, and the Alfa Romeo of Liam Yeh doing a great job then of fending off the interest then from the Aston Martin as we head off into the Curva Grande as well then. Out in front the telemetry has gone all wrong then, but hopefully that'll get sorted out. Then Equaz up into P4 then, a great start from Equaz in the Alfa Romeo then. Great grand stuff indeed then from the Alfa Romeo of Equaz. Unfortunately for Liam Yeh, he's having to try and battle back then in this race as it stands, and hope the Deltas will sort themselves out then in the next few seconds or so as well then. Markey up into P5 then, he's looking strong indeed as well then. We're having to wait and see what the Delta's going to be like then, because we can't quite tell how far everybody is away from each other. Then as we're on to lap 2 of 53 then, hopefully this race will tick by very quickly indeed. Then there's a Jenner then having an issue at the back of the field, Sickers Muck then and Liam Yeh then into Ascari then, and this battling is going to cost them time then. I think they need to work together then if they're going to try and get themselves back into the field, back into the race I should say. Then Coop has got himself past Martin up into P13 after a difficult start. But Coop is back up into the position, up another position I should say. Then Delta's now finally sorted themselves out. DRS now available as well then, so if you're within 1 second you can try and get yourself past them with the aid of the rear wing opening up then down the straights that is, and giving you a bit of extra speed as we go on to the Curva Grande now then for the 3rd time as well. Then here comes Kiki, here comes Lucas Percy. They're all staying within status quo as it stands at the moment. Then Markey just trying to keep up then and keep within that 1 second window as well. Same for Kamara Racer then, who's starting to drop off the back of the top 5 as it stands as well then into the second chicane. Oh, he's gone deep on the brakes then as well as Kamara Racer. That's going to cost him more time as well then, unfortunately. They're moving now all over the back of the Alpine car into the first Lesmo as well then. And is there going to be any moves? I think there's going to be a move here for Moving Ninja trying to get himself past the Alpine very quickly indeed then as we go over the curves. Then the second Lesmo, that kind of is going to cost you some time then, unfortunately, as he's gone over onto the gravel as well, a bit there on the left hand side of the car. Then in towards Ascari, he's going to make the move then. It's a bit too far away then to try and make any lunges there as he abandons the overtake attempt then. Good stuff indeed. Here comes Lucas Percy then, he's all over the back of Kiki, and here comes an Alfa Romeo of Equaz there. Equaz is going through, he's gone up to P2, he's taken 2 into 1 then down the straight then as we've got yellow flags then. Yellow flags, it's for Martin at the Ascari chicane, then he's off the circuit. Then there's Martin having an issue then through the Ascari exit. Then he's gone through, he's got himself back underway then thankfully, but there we go then. Look at that then, great stuff indeed from Equaz, but now under pressure then from Lucas Percy as we go down the main straight then towards the first turn once again. Then Lucas Percy back up ahead then. Here comes Kiki around the outside of Equaz as well. Then Equaz leaving space then, and Kiki can't make the move then, he's lost out. And unfortunately unfortunately for Kiki, sorry, he's lost out 2 places as well then on that back straight then to Lucas Percy and now to Equaz as well, as Lucas Percy tries to bring that gap down then to Vessia, then into the lead of the Grand Prix. Out here we go then with Kiki and Markey side by side into the second chicane. It's close indeed. The Williams there. Oh dear, where's Kiki off to? He's off the circuit then. He's trying to get himself back on then. Kamara Racing's gone round him. And so is Moomin as well then, but blimey, that Mercedes then losing traction then on the power then, and he's unfortunately lost out 2 places as well then with to Kamara Racer and to Moomin. Kiki really struggling out there as well on the hard compound tyres, as he's not having a great time out there. Unfortunately, there is the Mercedes driver then. He's really having an issue out there on the hard compound tyres. He's lost out now, 5 places in the space of a lap and a half then, unfortunately for Kiki, trying to get himself into the fight then. R2B is in the fight now as well then. He's with his teammate, he's behind Kydell then. All these drivers then have switched cars then this round then, apart from Farf actually. Now trying to get himself up into the next stages of the points as well then. Vintage is holding on to the back of them as well then. Vintage on the brink of the points pen positions. Cooper's got himself up into P12 now and battling on as well. Lucas Percy sets the fastest lap of the race and he's only 1.1 seconds away there from the race lead. He's really flying out there in the AlphaTauri then, as great stuff indeed then from him, as here comes Moomin Ninja then trying to make a move then on the Alpine of Kamara Racer. Finally makes the move then up into P5 now for the Aston Martin, I should say, and he's got the place as well then ahead of the oh blimey, there's action down the back of the field here as New Zealand Cam then and Serious Mushroom are battling away. Oh my goodness, there's all sorts of issues there it looks like, and they've got themselves sorted I think. And now away we go through the Curva Grande again. Yeah, it looked like Serious Mushroom was going to make the move then. I think he has made the move now with the aid of the Ferrari-powered engine then up into P13 now for Serious Mushroom, trying to fight on to get himself in the range of with Coupe as well. Though, of course, he's on the hard compound tyres, is Serious Mushroom, so he's going to be going longer in the first stint, I would imagine that is. Lucas Percy is setting some fantastic pace out there. He's caught up to the DRS zone now of Vessia in the McLaren. He is really holding a charge then, is Lucas Percy. And even in the AlphaTauri then we would have thought he would have struggled, but with the aid of DRS then he is flying through and looking strong here indeed as well. Then Equaz in P3 has used a lot of ERS then, but he's harvesting now, but he's into P3 currently onto the podium placing as it stands. That is, we're only on lap 5. Then there's yellow flags. There's an issue then at the Ascari chicane. It's New Zealand Cam who's had an issue then at the New Zealand Cam at the Ascari chicane, I should say. Then Liam Yeo has got himself back past Sick as Muck now and trying to challenge then Serious Mushroom and Hungry Styles. Hungry Styles has got himself past. Not sure what's happened to Mushroom. Mushroom's had an issue then, I think. He was in P13. He's dropped back then. Kamara Racer has got himself back ahead then of the Aston Martin and moving. Kydell has got himself back ahead of Farf then into turn 1. We go then side by side then for Farf. Oh, blimey, that is going to be dodgy stuff indeed. Then R2B, is having an issue then trying to get himself through turn 1 then, and that has cost him a bit of time then to the Alpine of Kydell as well then as we go through Curva Grande once again. Then this is an electric race so far. It's been absolutely fantastic to watch so far. The 6 laps that we've had so far has been epic stuff indeed. Great battling indeed throughout the field, and it's been quite close as well. Then R2B is off the circuit then, and Farf has gone through. Same for Vintage and same for Coupe. Then R2B struggling through the second chicane then, and unfortunately dropping out of the points. And as it stands as well then, we'll switch over to the tyre compounds because we'll see what everybody's tyre life is up to. Then, of course, most drivers started on the medium compound tyres. Some drivers starting on the hard compound. Unfortunately, Equaz has picked up the first penalty of the evening. Then he's having a problem then through Ascari. Then that Alfa Romeo really drifting through the exit of the corner as well. Then he's got himself back underway. But unfortunately, that 3-second penalty will be added onto his race time at the end of the Grand Prix. So that would be bad news for Equaz. We might see some penalties start to rack up here for all the drivers, that is, then throughout the race then, because it's quite a difficult one, especially through Ascari, trying to get the corner entry right as well. Then here comes Lucas Percy on the charge. Then DRS then available then to the AlphaTauri as we go down towards turn 1. Vessia then is still in the lead of the Grand Prix. So far he is so good at the moment. Then here comes Moving Ninja and Kiki then trying to get himself past Kamara Racer then into turn 1, and Kamara Racer's got the outside, he's got the inside for the second turn. Then he keeps hold of P6 then, but he's lost out to the Aston Martin, I should say, of Moomin Ninja. Then these 3 battling on now as well. Then Kydell and Farf might join the battle soon as well. Same for Vintage and Coupe and R2B, who are all in contention as well. Then good stuff indeed. And here comes Border then all over the back then of the Haas of R2B then in towards the second chicane. Then is he going to go for a move? Not quite, he's too far back then. and Gordo thinks better of it then as we go through the second chicane once again, then onto lap 7 of 53, then we're flying through, and that's good news for my heart, because otherwise I think I might die of excitement here as well then after all this action so far. 53 laps of this is going to be fantastic, but here we go then. R2B is back into range now with Coop as well. This battle has started to rage on behind Kaidel, who's currently in P8 then at the moment as well, looking to try and fight off the rest behind as it stands, then trying to gain on the three drivers ahead of him as well. Then Moomin Ninja in P5 as it stands there. Ekwaz now 2 seconds off the top two as well. He's losing time then to the AlphaTauri. Then of course he's AlphaTauri with Lucas Percy staying in the DRS. Then is he going to go for the move for the race lead? Here he goes then down the main straight. DRS available then for the AlphaTauri. He's taken the lead. Then he's up into P1 before the braking zone, and he's got the position then up into the race lead as well then from Lucas Percy. Great stuff indeed. That is why he is leading a championship in this one as well then. Great stuff indeed from the AlphaTauri driver then of Lucas Percy. Marquez got himself past Ekwaz into the podium places as well then. Kamara Racer couldn't get himself back past Moomin Ninja in that long straight as well then with DRS as well. Far stays in behind Kaidel. There's all sorts of action behind as well. Then look at this then, Vintage, and Vintage has got himself through. Has he R2 and Gordo battling away side by side as well. Then Gordo's involved in this battle too then on the brink of the points pen positions for these drivers here as we go into the second chicane. And oh my goodness, I thought there was a bit of contact there from Gordo. Gordo's having a bit of a squirrel then coming out of the exit then of the chicane into the first left where we go. Contact from R2 and Gordo. Then R2 spun around unfortunately, and that is unfortunate then for the Haas driver. I think he went for a move that was a day late and $1 short sort of thing. Unfortunately, he has got himself back around it, and I think was a bit of a desperate attempt then stick his muck then off the circuit. It looked like then. Hopefully that was just a bit of lag on my end and not on the lobby, I should say. But he's now into the fight then with Serious Mushroom Hungry Styles then up into P13 then and chasing down Gordo as well. Then Gordo is still on the brink of the points as it stands. Then Coop is trying to get himself back into range of Farf. Then Farf and Kaidel are going side by side. There's also action further up the order. There's Vessia takes back the lead down the main straight. Then Coop Kiki has got himself past Kamara then into P7, and Kiki trying to go past the Aston Martin as well. Then into turn 1 we go, and the Mercedes has taken 2 positions then in the main straight. Good stuff indeed. Then down the order then Vintage has got himself back past Coop then into P10 then with the aid of the DRS. Then now onto the back of Kaidel, who's been passed by Farth into turn 1 as well. Then Coop there. Oh blimey, Coop there. Well, the great exit then from turn 2 is going to go around the outside of the Red Bull, then round the outside there he goes then of Vintage up into P10, back up into P10 and takes back the place then on Vintage as well. Great manoeuvre then from Coop then back into the points 10 positions as well then. Fantastic stuff indeed then. Right then. All right, good stuff indeed as well. It looks like everyone else has calmed down a little bit now, though. Although there's battles all over the field, then this is quite epic stuff indeed. Then as Vessia then and Lucas Percy carrying on their battle then for the top 2, or for the race lead, I should say. But at the moment, then currently Vessia leads the way still. Then after claiming pole position then at the beginning of this Grand Prix, before this Grand Prix actually. But there we go then. As we've got Tangos in. I think there's. Yeah, I think there was something sort of blocking going on in qualifying. That's what the problem was there. Anyway, into the Parabolica turn. Then we got Lucas Percy. Then can he mount another attack? Then on the back of the McLaren, I should say. Then up into P1 already. Then with DRS down towards turn 1 we go. Sorry, I'm losing my voice. There we go. Then up into P1. Then goes Lucas Percy. Ekwaz there, back on the attack. Then back past Marky and back up into the podium places as it stands as well. Then good stuff indeed from Ekwaz as he tries to fight back. Then in this Grand Prix, Kaidel is fighting back as well. Then he's got himself back past Farf. Then into P8 for the time being as well. Then good stuff indeed. Then Farf now slotting in behind the Alpine, but he's got Cooper company as well. Then Cooper's of course is trying to battle back. And here comes Marky and Ekwaz then, and they've switched places once again. Then these two as they carry on their fight then for the final podium place as it stands onto lap 10 of 53. Then I'm sweating away in the commentary box if you couldn't tell, and that is why I keep wiping my brow. But there we are then. Moomin now is under attack then from Kiki. Kiki trying to recover in this race after the difficult first few laps then on those hard compound tyres. I think he's got them warmed up now. He's got them up to temperature now as we go on the attack here for the Mercedes driver. Can he make a move into the Ascari? Is he going to go side by side? No, he thinks better of it. Then he stays behind the Aston Martin for the time being. Through the Ascari chicane we go once again then for the Mercedes driver, the Aston Martin, and of course Kamara Racer, who's holding on here in P7 as well then to the DRS of the drivers around him as well. Kydell holds on to P8 as Favre now heading down the back straight towards the parabolic turn then in P9 and trying to put the pressure on the Alpine. That is a lot of drivers then bunching up behind. Like I said, the train starting to form then. Always Favre, they're trying to slide through the parabolica corner and they're trying to drift it around the parabolica. Not quite the way to go, I don't think, around that corner. But there we are then. Here we go then. Movement has been passed then by Kiki. Back up into P5 now for Kiki. Great stuff indeed then. Always Kamara Racer very late on the brakes there into turn 1 and almost cost him a front wing, I think, there in the Alpine. Then he might cost him a DRS now as well. That late braking manoeuvre then has cost him quite a lot of time as he comes out of turn 2, but he's now burning some ERS to try and catch up again once again then, as here comes Gordo around the outside of Vintage. Then he's got the manoeuvre up into P11 now, trying to chase down the top 10. They're trying to get himself into the points pan positions, and now is Gordo after a difficult start as well then. So good stuff indeed then. We've got a few hard ones there as well. Farf then is on the hard compound tyres. He's lost out the DRS range now to Kydell as we go through the first Lesmo, and there's going to be side by side, I thought, almost between Coupe and Farf. Then here comes Coupe, then on the attack, then trying to get the power down too early. Then it's Coupe as he goes flying off the circuit almost. But now with some DRS, then he's going to fly by the Haas car as well, up into Ascari. Then he's taken the place there ahead of Farf, now up into P9 now for Coupe. And now can he chase down Kydell in the Williams car then. Kydell, of course, is in the Alpine, but Coupe is in the Williams, that is. Gordo's got himself past Farf as well. Then Farf struggling on the exit of the chicane then. And now down to P11 there. Gordo back into the points pen positions as well. Then good stuff indeed from him as Lucas Percy and Vessia have switched places once again. Then Vessia then back up into the race lead and takes back the top step as well. Then yellow flags, it's for New Zealand Can then, who's having an issue there. I think New Zealand Can there struggling with the setup. Like I said, he might be having to retire in the pit lane very soon as well. Then here comes Vintage up to Gordo, then up into the top 10. Is he going to go down the inside? Then he's got the position, I think. Then Gordo's still there on the outside, now the inside, and he's left him a bit of space then. And now they're going to go 3 wide then through the Curva Grande. This is going to get tight indeed. I think Vintage has backed out then very sensibly, and now into P12 then for Vintage, and Gordo down to P11, I should say, and trying to battle back with Favre, who's taken back that top 10 spot as it stands at the moment on lap 12 then of 53. Then good stuff indeed so far as New Zealand Can then is trying to get himself back underway then in the back of the field then. Yeah, I think he's struggling out there with the setup issue. Then Kamara Racer on the penalty. That is the second penalty of the evening, and that is a 3-second penalty that we added onto his race time as well then at the end of the Grand Prix. But currently it would not affect him at all. He's got a 3.8 second gap then back to Kydell, his teammate in P8 then. Cooper's on the back of Kydell though. Here comes Liam Yeh past Styles then into the Ascari chicane. Farf and Gordo switching places as well into Ascari. As Gordo back into the top 10 now, but on the exit then Farf has got a greater exit, a much better exit then than the McLaren, then down towards the parabolic turn. They're going to go side by side through here, but I think that McLaren's going to edge ahead then slightly, and he has done as well then. Good stuff. Oh, blimey. Good stuff indeed then. Lucas Percy sits behind the McLaren this time. He doesn't want to try and go for the move. Then here comes Moomin there. He's not been not close enough then to make a move for P5 as it stands. Here comes Coupe though. Coupe is making the moves then up into P8 there for the Williams driver. Good stuff indeed then as we go into turn 1. He's now ahead of the Alpine of Kydell then. Farf and, oh blimey, there's all sorts of issues going on there. I think that was just my connection, hopefully. Farf there gets himself past Gordo. Then Liam Yeh is up into P10 somehow. I'm not quite sure where Liam Yeh's off to. I think that might have been the issue that we saw then with the connection there, but he's got himself back into the field then, has Liam. Yeah, there's quite a queue forming then. This is for the final points pen positions now, as Farf has dropped off the back, then Vessia picks up a penalty as well. That's bad news for the race leader, as Farf then bouncing over the curbs then, and here comes Gordo on the attack now as well then, in towards the first Lesmo. He slots in behind the Haas for the time being then, as we go through the first Lesmo then. Vessia picks up the penalty. That's a bad news indeed for the race leader. That will put him out of contention then for the top 2. As it stands there with Markey there only 2.3 seconds behind Lucas Percy as well. Then here comes Gordo then on the attack once again, then down towards Ascari. Can he make the move then? He has gone for the move then down the inside then of Farf. Then he's got the position up into P10 once again then for Gordo. Good stuff indeed. And again on the exit of the chicane, the Haas of Farf is flying through, and a great exit indeed once again then from Farf. Then he's still battling away then for the point pair positions as Vessia has lost out the lead then as well. That penalty then and the loss of the lead then into the into the 14th lap. Now we go, and unfortunately for him, Lucas Percy has taken back the lead of the Grand Prix then with the aid of some DRS there down into turn 1. Then Kiki has stayed ahead then of Moomin as well then as we go through. Here comes Kaido on the attack then of Coop, but he sits behind the Williams then this time as well. Then Vintage as Moomin and Kiki has switched places as well. Then Kiki's had an issue then because Kiki has lost a lot of time then, unfortunately, to the Aston Martin. Then Kiki's had a problem then coming out of turn 2. There's all sorts of action here as well then as the Red Bull then is off the circuit of Vintage, trying to get himself back underway. Then he's got himself going again, I think. But blimey, I didn't see what happened there. Liam Ye trying to go around the outside of Hungry Styles as well, then in towards the next chicane. There we go. They're going to go barreling in here, and this is going to be tight indeed. There's contact between Hungry Styles and Liam Ye then, and I think I'm not quite sure. I think Liam Ye might be having a few connection issues then because it seems like I'm not quite sure what happened to him at turn 1 on the last lap then, but it seems like his car is a bit jumpy, put it that way. But I think that's just down to the interwebs, not to anything that he's doing wrong itself. But yeah, unfortunately that is the case now. That is the way. As here we go then down towards the Ascara chicane. Then here we go then for the 14th time then as well. Then Sick as Muck then slotting in behind Hungry Styles. Then Vintage I think has dropped down the order. Vintage has got a problem there. Vintage is having an issue then as he's gone through the Ascara chicane. He's ghosted as well. Then hopefully there's no damage then for the Red Bull driver, but he's having a few problems out there. Looks like the end plates are all intact then for Vintage. I'm not quite sure if there's a technical difficulty then for the Red Bull driver, but he was going strong then, looking for a points battle then potentially for Vintage as well, which is a shame because he's now dropped down to P16, and unfortunately for Vintage he's having a few troubles out there, which is a bit of a shame. Then Gordo has been passed then by Favre up into the top 10 once again then for Favre in the half. This battle resuming on then as well then. Face cam every stream, says Brooksy. God no. No, I think it will just be for this one, to be fair. We're just testing it out to see if it's going to be viable potentially, but no, we'll wait and see. Then here comes Gordon then on the attack once again, then trying to get himself back past Favre, but he can't quite then get himself into the top 10. He has to sit behind the Haas, and this is now costing him a bit of time then. 4.5 seconds there to Kaido in P9. As it stands, Vessia then is still in range then of Lucas Percy, but those medium compound tyres I think will be starting to wear out very soon indeed. I would imagine they could probably make sort of 20-25 laps at most, but they will be getting to the end of their best life, I would imagine, around that sort of mark. Movement Ninjas now, they've dropped Kamara Racer, they've dropped Kamara Racer now, and these two are going to resume their battle for P5 then. Kamara there sitting, waiting in the wings, and I think trying to catch up then if there's any incidents ahead for those two. There might be, we'll have to wait and see. Kaido then into P9, then trying to keep up with Coop. Then Coop is setting some good pace now in the Williams car. Now he's got some fresh air in front of him as well, then he can get his foot down now and try and get himself through and catch up to the pack ahead as well. Here comes Gordo then on the back of Favre. This battle resuming for the final points pair position. Liam Ye is involved as well, then same for Styles, same for Sickers Muckman, and Sirius Rushman there in the background in the Ferrari is trying to catch up as well. And here they go then past the Haas I should say, and now Gordo takes P10, then Liam Ye into P11. There's going to be an Aston Martin sliding down the inside there, and Sickers Muck then has just gone straight into turn 1 there, barreling in as well, and there's all sorts of issues then for Liam Ye, and I think he's got himself untangled there, thankfully, from Favre, I think, on the exit then of the first chicane there. But Sick as Muck just piling into turn 1 there has cost only himself really, because he's lost out then to Sirius Mushroom as well into the first chicane there. Not good news then for Liam Ye. He's going to have to try and battle back then in this fight then with Gordo for P10. 2 seconds now is the gap then, but he's got some ERS to burn. Hopefully he can get himself back in the fight then. Here comes Moomin Ninja. He's still not got himself past the Mercedes of Kiki, as Vessia now all over the back. Then you can see he's pushing now the AlphaTauri of Lucas Percy then through the Parabolica corner up to the line. I think it's going to be very close indeed. There's going to be DRS available for the McLaren then to take back the race lead onto lap 17. Now we go flying through this race so far, which has been great stuff indeed. I'm getting a bit sweaty if you couldn't tell, but there we go then. Vessia takes back the lead into turn 1 we go then, and now the McLaren ahead of the AlphaTauri then for one of the many times we've seen already, but there we are then. Kamara Racer is in the pit lane, and so this is going to be interesting stuff indeed. Then this is the first scheduled stop then of the Grand Prix. It's the only stop of the Grand Prix so far. Soft compound tyres going on the Alpine car as well. Great stuff indeed. It is going to be very quick indeed then for the next stint then for the Alpine driver. We will wait and see how it's going to unfold then. Gina has got himself back in the fight almost as well, with the battling then for P10 as Liam Ye trying to get himself into the fight as well. Then of course back into the points now is Liam Ye after the stop then for Kamara Racer, who's come out of the pit lane in P17. And he's about 7 seconds behind Jinner, who is battling on the hard compound tyres. I would have thought there would be more drivers starting on the soft compound. As Liam, trying to get the back end out then in style then as he goes through the second chicane, then trying to keep the car on track. Then he's done a good job then so far, and looking strong here in this attempt then to try and get himself back into the points pair positions as well then, as now he's chasing down, or he's being chased down by Favre then, but Favre I think is losing power on that in that hash. Then he's had a great first few laps then, didn't he? But then that battle then afterwards, battling with Kydell, when he dropped out the DRS range there, he's just lost a lot of time since then, unfortunately for Favre then, but he's still within the fight then for the top 10 as it stands. So is Hungry Styles, so is Serious Mushroom, so Seconds Mark has dropped back as well then, as out in front Lucas Percy takes the lead. And he has switched places once again then with Vessia. Here comes Kiki and Moomin as well on Equaz. Then they've got themselves both passed into turn 1 then, and the McLaren and the Mercedes there into P4 then, the Aston Martin into P5. Equaz losing 2 places down that straight, unfortunately for the Alfa Romeo driver. Cooper's got himself up into P8 then, battling away with Kydell, then Gordo and Favre, then Favre and Gordo and Styles, Hungry Styles and Liam. All sorts of action here as well. Liam has got the inside then for turn 2, and he keeps the place then as we go battling on then through the Curva Grande then onto lap 18 of 53. This is him setting up his new business venture. OnlyFans. Yeah, I've got my OnlyFans. I'm just testing it out for OnlyFans there, Tango. So yeah, hopefully it works out. But good stuff indeed, and hopefully we can get some good money out of it. Yeah, we'll have to wait and see. Right, Favre now is into P10, but he's got Liam for company then. Same for Favre as well. This is the battle that's heating up. Then here comes Coop though. We'll come back to the battle. Then we'll go back to this battle at the front. Vessia then back into P2. Then after Lucas Percy overtook him on the last lap, can Vessia return the favour now on to lap 19? Then here we go. Then we're almost at the halfway point in this race. We're flying through this Grand Prix so far. Then here comes Vessia then back into the lead of the Grand Prix. We've got some action down the back of the field as well. Cooper's got himself past Kydell then into P7 now, as Moomin and Kiki battling away. Moomin up into P4 now in the Aston Martin. Great stuff indeed then, and Equaz just waiting in the wings behind the two of them as well. Then here we go then into turn 1, and Moomin takes P4. Then Kydell with some DRS has got himself back past Coop. Then I think playing the DRS game, then a bit of chicken then into the Parabolica then, I think for Kydell. Then that is what the position changes were about. Liam has got himself past Favre now and up into P10, then back up into P10 into turn 1, and now trying to take hold of that position. Then this time then, as Favre then struggling on the hard compound tyres, Styles as well on the hard compound tyres. They're going to come back to him hopefully in this race as well. Then the medium compound tyres still going on, as Kamara Racer on the softs now is done. It's only been 2 laps then on the soft compound tyres, but that gap was 7 seconds. It's now down to 2.6 to Ginner. So the soft's definitely pretty quick indeed. But at the moment, I'm not quite sure who's got fastest lap. It's not unfortunately Clara Racer somehow on those soft compound tyres. But there we go then. We will have to see if there's going to be any changes in that one as well. Kamara Racer is flying at this stage of the race then on those soft compound tyres, trying to get himself back in the fight then. He will expect, hopefully, or he'll be hoping, I think, that the drivers ahead of him start to filter into the pit lane very soon as well. Then of course he made the first stop as Lucas Percy takes back the lead then on Vessia, then down the main straight once again, then on to lap 20 of 53, flying at this stage then. Great stuff indeed to see from my point of view. Kiki and Moomin there once again resuming their battle down the main straight with DRS. They're down towards turn 1, and Kiki is ahead, I think. Yes, he is, into the braking zone and back up into P4 then for Kiki. Good stuff indeed then. Equaz now, I think he's just trying to hold on to the battling pack here. So Kydell then into P7, getting himself back past Coop, and Favre's back past Liam as well with some DRS assistance, I should say. And here comes Sick as Muck then down the inside of Liam as well into turn 1. It's going to be tight indeed. There's contact on the curbs then for Sick as Muck. Then he's I think there was I couldn't see what was going on there, but unfortunately then Sick as Muck lost out then, as now he's trying to get himself past Styles. Styles is on the hard compound tyres, and I think struggling there through turns 1 and 2 then, maybe trying to just avoid the accidents there, avoid any accidents or avoid any issues then into the first chicane. Then Liam has got himself not past anyone there. He's trying to defend from Sick as Muck, then he has defended. He's now on the back of Favre, and Hungry Styles then is back in the fight then for the top 10 as well then, as is Sick as Muck, as is Serious Muck. But Kamara Racer's got himself past Jin and out and into P15. He's going to be very close to this battle very soon. Kaidel's lost out to Coop, then into Ascari as we go on to lap 21. Anyone coming in the pit lane for the top two? Not the case then at the time, well, this time anyway, as we go down the main straight once again. Then Vesia takes back the lead then, as anybody else going to filter into the pit lane very soon. No, not quite. Then Moomin carries on as well. Then is he going to get himself back past Kiki down towards turn one? We fly down the main straight once again. Then here we go. Then Moomin's got the inside then for turn one. He's got the position, I think, as well ahead of the Mercedes as he takes the place then ahead of Kiki. Into the pits comes Gordo, so Gordo is calling it a day then on the medium compound tyres. 21 laps then for the McLaren on the medium compound, and they have decided to switch off the tyre now onto another set of mediums, I think then. So going medium at this stage of the race. Then Favre has been passed then. Oh no, Liam, yeah. Oh my goodness me, what's going on here then? Favre's got himself back past Styles, and well, blimey, that was a very interesting turn one then. As now Liam, yeah, is up into P9, then he's ahead now of Favre and from Styles, but it's now into the second chicane, and this is going to get tight indeed. Then here comes Favre, then he's flying through, then he's backed off, then oh, he's made contact with the back of the Alfa Romeo slightly then, but thankfully they got themselves through unscathed then, and Liam Yeh takes the place then. Favre is now in P10, Hungry Styles in P11, then here comes Kamara Racer then round the outside. No, I thought that was the Alpine go around the outside then. He's now caught up to the back of his train there as Kamara Racer, which is not good timing then for the Alpine, as he wanted to, well, he was hoping, I think, probably that they would have pitted by the time he got to the back of the pack then, but now he's in the fight then, is Kamara Racer trying to get himself back through down to Ascari. We go then, here comes Sick as Muck down the inside of Serious Mushroom. There's contact then between the Ferrari and the Aston Martin, I think, there, as we go through Ascari there very nicely indeed. Then, oh, Kamara Racer almost off the circuit then at some point, trying to go through there on Serious Mushroom. He's got himself past as well and up into P13. Moomin and Kiki are switching places once again then into turn one, and there we go then. Kamara Racer now all over the back of Sick as Muck then, as we go through the Parabolica turn then to start off lap 22, and DRS then not available, I don't think, then for the Aston Martin. So the Alpine of Kamara Racer is going to breeze through then and back up into P11 now. Liam Yeh is in the pit lane, so Liam Yeh has called it a day then. 3-second penalty for New Zealand Cam then, who is struggling in this stage of the race. I think is New Zealand Cam with the setup issue then. He's onto the hard compound tyres now, is Liam then, and I think I could get him to the end of the Grand Prix potentially. We will wait and see. Oh, blimey, and pause. 22 laps then so far. It's been all action in the 22 laps as well there, to be fair. Great stuff indeed there from all the drivers then. Hungry Styles has been almost been passed then by Kamara Racer. Kamara is now pushing away then to get himself back in the top 10 on those soft compound tyres. They've only done 5 laps so far, so they still should be pretty fresh at this stage of the race as well. But he's going to have to try and get himself past the traffic as well then indeed. Then now Hungry Styles then is putting up the next fight then for the Alpine as we go down towards Ascari. Then here we go, then can he get himself through as Vesia takes back the lead then once again, as Lucas Percy's in the pit lane. So Lucas Percy calling it a day then on the medium compound tyres. In the race lead, that is. Here comes Kamara Racer trying to get himself past Styles. Then I think he has done it. He's got himself through then on the traction then with the fresher tyres. Lucas Percy onto the soft compound tyres as well. Then coming down the pit lane now. Equaz into the pit lane as well. And here comes Kamara Racer around Parabolica. Can he get himself into the fight potentially for the top 3 with this nice little undercut that he's got so far? DRS now available for Kamara, then up into P9. Then can he get himself past Lucas Percy and past Kamara Racer? I think Lucas Percy is out of the pit lane there, down towards turn 1 already, and Kamara Racer slotting himself ahead of Bath then into P8 then, and taking the position away from the Haas driver as well then. Good stuff indeed. There's a Ferrari. Blimey, what was going on with that Ferrari? They're down in the background, and Jenner is being forced off the circuit then by Serious Mushroom, and all sorts of issues then for Serious Mushroom and for Jenner then. I'm not quite sure what was going on there between the two of them, but they have got themselves sorted, I think, now. 5 seconds is the gap between Lucas Percy and Kamara Racer after that earlier stop then for the Alpine. That's put him within range, I think, then of a podium place potentially as it stands. Then of course there's probably more stops to come then for both of them, but we will wait and see. Kaidel now is not dropped off the back then of Coop. Then Coop now has got himself a nice comfortable gap of 2 seconds there to his rivals. Kiki and Moomin though are still resuming their battle then here in the into Parabolica once again. Then here comes Moomin, here comes Kiki as we go through to finish off lap 23 sorry for them, as we cross over onto lap 24 now as well. Then down the main straight here comes the Aston Martin once again, then down the inside. He's got the move then up into P3 now as it stands. That is not a net P3 of course, because there's pit stops then to be made then for the top 6. So there we go then, and there's quite a few still to pit as well. Then further down the order, here comes Styles then on the back of Bath then, and trying to get himself past. Here comes Lucas Percy then, sliding his way through turn 1 And I'm not quite sure if Kaidel was battling that or if he was just unsettled by the AlphaTauri then sliding his way through. But he has got himself back up into P6 now, has Lucas Percy then onto the fight next for his coupe. Then Styles has got himself past Farf up into P9, and that is that then for those three. There is still a quartet, no, it's a quintet, I don't know if that's a word really, yet to pit then in the middle of the pack here as well. Then Jinner, Serious Mushroom, then Sick as Muck, Farf and Hungry Styles there yet to pit then, but they're on the hard compound tyres. They might be soldering on for a bit longer at this stage of the race. Kiki again soldering on, I think, as well on those hard compound tyres. He had a bit of a difficult start, then he dropped down to P8 then at one point, but battled back then on the hard compound to get himself back into the range end of a podium place, or a net podium place as it stands at the moment then. But we have yet to see any stops then for Vessia. Then Vessia is soldering on then at this stage. He is cracking on then. Lucas Percy then onto the soft compound tyres. I would imagine would have to stop again at some point in the race, potentially for another set of softs, potentially for another set of medium. We'll have to wait and see. I think Kamara might be going on to another set of medium compound tyres then at the latter stages of this race as well then, because he has pit a bit earlier than Percy then onto a set of soft compound tyres. Lap 25 then of 53. We're almost at the halfway point of the Grand Prix here, and so far so good then for all the drivers. Then they've been battling on very nicely indeed. Then Equaz then all over the back of Serious Mushroom now after making his stop onto the hard compound tyres then for Equaz in the Alfa Romeo. Then can he make a move as Kamara picks up another penalty? That's two 3-second penalties then for Kamara Racer. Unfortunately then that will be added onto his race time at the end of the Grand Prix. Equaz all over the back now of Serious Mushroom. Those fresh hard compound tyres compared to those old hard compound tyres are going to be quite a no contest, I would imagine, as the Alfa Romeo does fly through round the outside at Curva Grande, then up into P12 then for Equaz. Good stuff indeed. And now ahead then of the Ferrari for the time being, that is. Like I said, the strategy of the pit stops then is all over the place at the moment, because there's all sorts of drivers then doing 2 stops, I think, and there's some still going for the 1 stop at this stage of the race as well then. So we will wait and see who is going to come into play, who is going to win out in the strategy race as well then, because of course it's all about great pace in the Grand Prix itself then, but of course you have to get the strategy right as well, because that can gain you or lose you a lot of time around a 100% race at the same time as well, especially if you're on very old worn tyres, as we've seen with Markey, who is into the pit lane now then, and calling it there then on the 26 lap hold, 25 lap hold at medium compound tyres then for the Williams driver. Then his teammate of Coupe carries on then onto the hards then for Markey. He's been held in the pit lane though. No, he's not. He's been teleported, and never mind then. And out of the pit lane now. Where will he come out? Will he come out ahead of this battle here with Styles and Farf? Then he needs to get himself ahead of this battle if he wants to try and get ahead of this whole sort of carnage. I think it was almost at one point. But thankfully he's got himself out ahead then of Farf then, and I think that is going to be a very good sight to see then for the Williams team, as they don't want to be battling away with Farf, Styles and Sick as Muck then for the next few laps. Then he wants to get those hard compound tyres warmed up then to temperature very quickly indeed then, so he can escape the clutches of the battling pack behind. But at the moment he's got himself back out of range, and Hungry Styles and Sick as Muck battling away then, as we've got Equaz there catching up to the back of the Red Bull then. I think Sick as Muck and Hungry Styles are once again involved in a bit of a battle then into the second chicane now, and now here we go, the Equaz all over the back of the Aston Martin again then. Of course Equaz has pitted then for a fresh set of tyres as we go down towards Ascari once again. Then here comes the Alfa Romeo, then he's got the DRS, then he's got himself through and up into P10 there. Gino has got himself back past Styles as well then into the Ascari chicane once again. Then both these two are trying to recover in this race then, or both Gino and Sick as Muck now trying to recover in this race. Into the pits comes the race leader, then Vessia is into the pit lane and onto the hard compound tyres as well. Then Lucas Percy is going to fly through and take back the net race lead. Of course, there is a lot of pit stops to come. I think Lucas Percy will have to pit again. Potentially Vessia can go to the end of the Grand Prix from here. We will wait and see. Then Markey has gone through. Coupe is in the pit lane, so Coupe is changing onto the hard compound tyres as well. Then a lot of drivers opting for the 1 stop in this race so far. Then Kaidel has also pitted for the hard compound and sliding his way back down the pit lane there to get himself back into the fight. And there's all sorts of action here. Look at this. There's all sorts of action as well. We've got the Kaidel, we've got a Mercedes, we've got Aston Martin, we've got a McLaren, we've got a Ferrari as well. Then there's a sandwich there, and off the circuit goes Hungry Styles, and Jinner has been spun around then as well. Then I'm not quite sure what is going on there then between Jinner and Mushroom. Then I think it seems to be Mushroom involved in all these fights then, it seems, But Cooper's got himself past Jenner as well. Jenner getting himself restarted in this race now. He's got right end plate damage, I should say, and potentially will have to make himself a pit stop, then an unscheduled stop, I think, as well. Then because I don't think that those hard combat tyres will be able to carry on for much longer. Then at this stage of the race, then out in front, then Kiki and Moomin resume their battle, as we've had all sorts of issues then all sorts of issues then down the back of the field. I think there was like 5 cars involved into turn 1 there, and thankfully, well, not thankfully, but unfortunately, one car has come off worse, then Gino has come off worse as we go through the first and second Lesmo. Then Liam now back ahead then after making his stop a few laps ago. Gino has let Kaidel go through as well. Then Kaidel, I think actually Kaidel was ahead of Liam before the stop, so Liam has done a good job here with the undercut to get himself into range then of some more points pair and positions here. So that is good stuff indeed. Then any more stops then for the drivers ahead of us? No. Moomin carrying on as well then. Same for Sickers Muck, it looks like, as well then, as we go down the main straight then for Sickers Muck. Farf and Equaz switching places now. Equaz up into P7 after, of course, making his stop earlier on as well. Then Cooper's Serious Rush was in the pit lane, so Serious Rush calling it a day then on the hard compound tyres. 5-second penalty for Jenner speeding in the pit lane. That is bad news indeed for Jenner. He's not having a great time out there at this stage of the race. Then Kaidel's got himself past Liam with some DRS assistance down towards turn 1, then up into P13. But of course, that is not a net position just yet. There's lots of stops to come for drivers ahead as well, so it is not all done and dusted just yet then in this Grand Prix. Serious Rush out of the pit lane. He's ahead of his teammate then of Martin into P17. R2B is soldiering on then on the medium compound tyres as well. Then Jenner has dropped down to P19, I should say. Then after that unscheduled stop and a wing change, I think, there for the Mercedes driver, as he's coming out into the fight then with New Zealand Cam then, who has been struggling away on that difficult setup then for New Zealand Cam. But fair play to him for keeping going. Kaidel's got a 3-second penalty. That is bad news for him. That will be added on to his race time at the end of the Grand Prix, and that of course is for track extensions and that sort of thing. So yeah, not very good stuff indeed, but unfortunately, especially around this circuit, it's quite easy to pick up then, especially through 100% distance as well. Movement there is still on the back of Kiki, but I think is starting to struggle, I think, on those medium compound tyres. Marquis and Kamara Racer are battling away. Then into P5 goes the Williams, and up into the position, then up into turn 1 we go then, and the Alpine dropping back down to P6. Unfortunately, Cooper's got himself past Styles, who's in the today then on the hard compound tyres. Then let's see what he's going to go on to now. It's medium compounds then for the Red Bull driver, and back underway then goes Styles. Then Styles could get to the end of the Grand Prix from here, I think. 29 laps have been completed. That will be, going to do the maths now, isn't it? 24 laps to go, I think. We're almost there. So I'm my brow is sweating away, and we will almost get to the end of the Grand Prix very soon, hopefully. But there we go then. Kiki is still in the race lead at the moment. Now Lucas Percy then on the soft compound tyres is within range almost of DRS then for Moomin, and that could be pretty quick stuff indeed then from the AlphaTauri. Then if he can get himself back into the DRS range as well, he can push on then and go for the attack then into the first turn. Then Gordo and Farf battling away then into the Escara chicane, and Farf then taking the escape road, it looks like, almost, as I'm not quite sure what was going on there between the two of them there. Gordo on much fresher tyres as well then, so Farf trying to stay in the fight, I think, there, as Moomin has got himself past Kiki, then up into P1. Then here comes Lucas Percy over the back of both of them now as well, still sliding through turn 1 though. But not going to be I don't think those soft combine tyres are going to be too thankful for the driving through turn 1 then from Lucas Percy's point of view. But there we go then into the second chicane we come now as well, and I don't think there's going to be any moves then for the two of them, but they can see Lucas Percy all over the back of them now then, and off the circuit goes Kiki. That is bad news indeed. I think he just had a loss of traction then. It looked like he went over the exit curve a bit too much, and that cost him a place then, and cost him a place for Lucas Percy now, and I think it's cost him a potential fight for the race lead. Then on the lap 30 we go now, and at the moment it looks like Lucas Percy is going to be flying through then on the back of Moomin as well, then in towards Ascari. Down the straight we go, then up into P1 for Lucas Percy. He takes back the race lead after a great start then. And where will Vessia come out as Jinner sets the fastest lap of the race? Then good stuff from Jinner. Then he is flying back through. Hopefully he can get himself back in this race. Of course, there's still quite a few drivers to stop ahead of him as well. Then we might see some more pit stops in the near future. We think Moomin might make a stop then, because he has to make a stop. He hasn't done a pit stop just yet as well. Same for Kiki as well then, as Kiki trying to get himself back in the fight as well. Then Moomin, I think, is carrying on as well in this fight. Then not moving Kiki into the pit lane then. So Kiki's calling it a day then on the hard compound tyres as well here. Vessia will take back P3. Then he is currently when it updates, 7 seconds or so behind the race leader of Lucas Percy. But of course, Lucas Percy, we expect, will have to make another stop very soon. Kiki coming out of the pit lane now. He's going to be behind Ekwaz, I believe. Yeah, he is behind Ekwaz and Gordo. Favre coming in the pit lane now as well to call it a day here on the hard compound tyres. Then good stuff indeed then, as now we've got Sick as Muck. Then he's got himself past Coop. Then Coop is coming back at him though, and Coop is going on the attack then down towards turn 1. Then can he make a move? Not quite. Then into the chicane we go then, and stays P10 for the time being in the Williams then, but now on the traction, can he get himself past then? The Aston Martin struggling on old tyres, and now Coop round the outside at Curva Grande has got the position into P9 then. Great stuff indeed, a great move indeed as well then from Coop, then getting himself back up the order. Then into the pits comes Favre then, or after the pits comes Favre, but behind his teammate of R2 Beat. Then R2 Beat pit of course 11 laps earlier than Favre this time, but R2 Beat trying to get himself back in the fight then as well after that collision then with I think it was Serious Mushroom then, or no, it was somebody else. I think it might have been Mercedes into the first Lesmo then a few laps ago now. Quite a few laps ago, to be fair. It was a long time ago. But there we go, into the second Lesmo we're going after Kaidel. Then he's under pressure from Liam Yeh. Both these drivers have pit and could go to the end of the Grand Prix from here as well then. So they might be fighting then for the final positions then towards the end of the Grand Prix in the next few stages. Then Ekwaz now under pressure from Gordo, as Gordo is flying through then on the medium compound tyres then in the McLaren, and potentially going to take that P6 away from him down the main straight then with the aid of some DRS there down the straight as well. Movement is lost out then 2 seconds there to Lucas Percy, who is flying away on those soft compound tyres. Vessia now is 4.8 seconds behind the P2 man, as Gordo does get past Ekwaz there into turn 1, then up into P6 now for the McLaren driver. Good stuff indeed, and the championship leader I think as well, Gordo. Even after we had a bit of a difficult race then in the Netherlands last week. Into the pitch comes Sick as Muck then, getting off 31 lap old tyres, and he's onto a set of soft compound tyres. Blimey, that's going to have to do 21 laps. I'm not quite sure they're going to make it that far. We'll have to wait and see. Kamara Racer, though, is still soldiering on out there, trying to get himself into the window, I think, for a next stop as well. Then he's back up into P5 for the time being. He's ahead of Gordo by 3 seconds there. Where will he come out in relation to the rest of the field? If he were to make a stop, I think he would come out around the range of Liam Yeh, potentially behind Liam Yeh, and in behind Liam Yeh there, but in front of Vintage, around that order somewhere, I would imagine, potentially in that fight then with Vintage as well, then P12, and so it's still on for the points then for Kamara Racer as it stands then. So not all doom and gloom then for the Alpine out there. Into the pits comes the race leader of Lucas Percy, so he's already calling it a day then. Moomin Ninja, who's still carrying on then on the medium compact tyres, so I'm not quite sure if he's got the memo that he needs to pit at some point. But there we go, then into the pits comes Lucas Percy, then he's on to another set of, it's going to be another set of medium compound tyres then for the former race leader now, and dropping down the order of course as the drivers filter through then. Where will he come out in relation to Kiki though? That is the question. I think Kiki going to the end of the Grand Prix here. Lucas Percy is going to come out ahead of Kiki as it stands, but Kiki there is barreling down at a lot of greater knots in towards turn 1, and I think is going to catch up to the back then of Lucas Percy and potentially get himself back in DRS range. Yes, he is, as Liam Yeh and Kaidel switching places there into P10. Now goes Liam Yeh then up in front of the Alpine. Kiki can now try and get himself pulled along here by the AlphaTauri then of Lucas Percy's on fresher tyres by only 2 laps or so, but still fresher tyres. And Lucas Percy has been sending some great pace out there, even though he's in the AlphaTauri. So if Kiki can hold on to the DRS then from Lucas Percy, could get himself back in range of potentially a race win, potentially a podium at least on the cards then. So it's not all done and dusted then just yet for Lucas Percy then as we go, for Kiki I should say then, sorry, as we go down towards Ascari then for the 33rd time now, lap 33 of 53, 20 laps remaining now on this for this race there into Ascari we go then, and Kiki stays in behind then. He's cut the corner a bit there, so that'll be a warning, and I'll be the FIA for that one, and I've given him a warning for it anyway, so there we are. There we go, the FIA have spoken, and that is that then. Good stuff indeed. Then Ekwaz now is back into P6, and he's trying to hold on to Gordo at this stage of the race. Then I think Gordo might have to make another stop. I'm pretty sure he did medium actually in the first stint anyway, so he's going to have to make another stop, I would imagine, very soon. Ekwaz there will try and get himself back in that range. Then here comes Lucas Percy then down the main straight, but here comes Kiki right behind him, and Kiki's trying to hold on to the back of the AlphaTauri. Then I think he's trying to work together then with Lucas Percy then at this stage, whether Lucas Percy wants to or not then at this stage as well, to be fair, because Kiki then is staying within that 1 second window for the time being of the AlphaTauri driver then. as we go through the Curva Grande onto lap 34 of 53. Good stuff so far. Then Kydell still stays in behind. Then Sick as Muck sets the fastest lap of the race in the Aston Martin on the soft compound tyres, and that is good stuff. Indeed, a point then going his way, I should say, at this stage of the race. Then Gino playing catch-up at the moment, unfortunately for Gino. He's not had a good race out there after contact with a few drivers as well. Then Vessia now all over the back of Moomin. Then Vessia, of course, is the net race leader because he has made all of his stops, I think, or can go to the end, I should say, on the hard compound tyres then. But, of course, will that be the faster strategy is the question. We don't know just yet. Then Vessia then goes through there into Parabolica, then takes the race lead, then away from the Aston Martin and Moomin and up into P1, back up into P1 then for Vessia. Then Marky carries on as well then into P2 then for Marky, Moomin into the pit lane and calling it there finally on 34 lap old medium compound tyres. He has got another 18 laps to go then in this race, potentially going on to a set of soft compound tyres. Gino picked up another penalty, unfortunately. Gino, that is bad news for him. As Kiki and Lucas Percy fly through, moving of course in the pit lane. Kamara Racer is back in the pit lane as well then, onto a set of medium compound tyres then for the Alpine driver, and away he goes. Where will he come out in relation to the battling pack then? Like I was saying, I think it's going to be in the range where with Vintage as well. Vintage now barreling down towards the first turn. Then here comes Kamara out of the pit lane. Can he get himself ahead there of the Red Bull driver? Then it's going to be close indeed then as we go down towards the turn one. Then here comes Vintage around the outside. Then can he get the position there? Can he hold the position? He can hold the position. He's got the move there as Vintage then. As we've got yellow flags then. What's going on here? Yellow flags somewhere. Not sure what happened. Okay, so yeah, not sure. There was yellow flags for a brief second then, as Kamara's back up ahead of Vintage now on the fresh medium compound tyres. Then to the end of the Grand Prix from here, Kamara Racer can go, and then he could get himself back in range then, as I think it might have been Kydell. I think in the fight then with Liam Yeh. Then Moomin has got past Liam Yeh, then up into Pierre, then on the soft compound tyres. Will the softs last the 18 laps that they've got to go there for Moomin, though? That is going to be the question here as we go through the Ascari chicane then on to lap 36 now for the race leaders as well. Then this is going to be interesting stuff indeed. Of course, we've got some more stops I think to come as well, especially for Gordo. Then Gordo is under pressure now from Equaz, as here we go then down the main straight. Here comes the Alfa Romeo then with some DRS assistance up into P3, and Gordo, I think, like I said, has done medium so far in this race, so we'll have to stop again at some point. But I think he's just going to wait and hold on to the soft compound tyres. Out in the back, and in the background then Lucas Percy and Kiki have had an issue. Then Lucas Percy and Kiki come together then, and Kiki has got himself through, but I'm not quite sure what happened in the background there. And I think Kiki went into the back of the Alpha Tauri, that is, and has cost Lucas Percy the position, the pace there as well. And I think the contact there might have caused damage then to Kiki as well. That could be costly indeed for both drivers. Both different parts of the race, that is, because of course Kiki would have to come into the pit lane to repair the front wing, and Lucas Percy has lost out a lot of time then with the spin, and unfortunately for Lucas Percy, that could have gifted Vessia the win potentially here, or actually maybe not then, because Marky is still within range then with the penalty situation then for Vessia as well then, but blimey, that could be very costly then for the podium sitters, at least then for the end of the Grand Prix. And I think Kiki a bit too eager then to try and get himself past then has cost them both then potentially a podium place then in this Grand Prix as well then, which is a big shame indeed. Then we'll have to wait and see and review that after the race as well then, of course. We will look back at it after the race, that is, and get that sorted as well then. But interesting stuff indeed then, as here comes Gordo once again on the back of the Alpha Tauri, Alfa Romeo, sorry, there's too many A's, as we go down the main straight once again in the McLaren, then back up into P3 then for Gordo, and up into the podium places then for Gordo once again then, after the shenanigans going on behind as well. Can they get themselves back in the fight then? Of course, that I think they can, to be fair, with the pace that Kiki and Lucas Percy have got then. I think they could get themselves back in the range then of the podium fight as well then, especially with the penalties for Equaz and for Vessia. Of course, there's stops still to come, I think, for Gordo and potentially for the top three as well, if they wish to change onto the soft compound tyres at some point in this race, but we'll wait and see. Vintage now all over the back of Farf. Then there's a lot of penalties adding up behind, adding up in front. There's yellow flags again then. Yellow flags for Slick as Muck and Styles then, as Styles has spun the car around. Styles, I don't know where Styles is going then. He's trying to get himself back underway, but he seems to be just doing pirouettes there, as he's back underway now. Martin into the pit lane for a set of soft compound tyres then to the end of the Grand Prix, I think, from here for Martin then on the softs then. So that could be indications there for Gordo as well, that you can get the softs to the end of the Grand Prix from here. 16 laps or so to go then in this Grand Prix so far. At the moment, it's been pretty busy so far as well in the race. I would say there's been some fantastic battles. There's been a few incidents as well, unfortunately, but that is racing, to be fair. If it was for contact, Kydell and moving to Tango, then I'm not quite sure. So there we are then, good stuff indeed. Hopefully, we'll have to review that after the race then for whatever happened then into, I think it's turn 1 that's been the cause for all the incidents so far, but it's not been too many of them, thankfully. But especially over 53 laps, then you would expect a few here and there. As Hungry Styles has retired, and that's a safety car. And he's retired on track as well, I think. So that is bad news indeed then for Hungry Styles. Eventually his team has got a 5 moment spin in the pit lane, which is bad news for him then. We don't see exactly where Styles has gone off then, so he's caused a safety car then and disappeared then, which is great stuff indeed. But that's the first safety car then of the Grand Prix. Penalties, of course, will be added in as Hungry Styles has left the session as well then, so that is bad news indeed then for Hungry Styles then, not having a good time out there then. He caused the safety car then, and now we've got the race sort of nullified here at this stage of the race as well then. So that is good news, I think, for Gordo, because of course Gordo was having to pit again at some point in the race then, because of course he has only used the medium compound tyres so far in this race. As we go through into Parabolica then for the race leaders, of course, I think we might see some pit stops here. Surprise, surprise, because I think a few drivers then will be switching onto the soft compound tyres to the end of the Grand Prix, and we will wait and see who is going to do what then. As in the pits comes the race leader then. I thought they weren't coming in the pit lane for that stage then. Gordo is coming around the pit lane as well, coming around to the pit Parabolica as well. And into the box to go then for the McLaren team. Soft compound tyres onto Vess's car then. I think it's going to be the mantra now for everyone on the soft compound tyres. Medium compound tyres, actually, I think, for Markey. Interesting stuff indeed. Then Gordo's also in the pit lane as well. Into the box he goes then onto a set of soft compound tyres. Also then Gordo. Come out behind Ekraz though, because Ekraz, of course, didn't get held in the box, did he? So no, Ekraz is behind still, so unfortunately for Ekraz he can't get the jump then on the McLaren team. Kiki is onto the medium compound tyres then ahead of Lucas Percy. Of course, those two made contact into, oh dear, Kamara Racer is carrying on as well here, so this is going to be interesting stuff indeed there for Kamara Racer on older medium compound tyres. Then into turn 1 we go then. He stays P5 for the time being. Anybody else going to carry on? I don't think everybody else is coming to the pit lane now, so they've all called it a day then on their other tyres, then onto a fresh set of tyres apart from Kamara Racer, who is still soldering on out there. Well, he's not soldering on really. He's onto a set of 4 lap old mediums, so it's not too bad, but they will not be as good as a fresh set of softs in my opinion. But that is that then. Out to the pit lane comes Farf then. Farf is being held in the pit lane, it looks like, so I'm not quite sure what is going on there for Farf then. He has a penalty to serve, I think, there, as Farf has he's got himself sorted, and back out underway then for Farf. Then he's going to lose out, I think, to Cam. Then Cam might come in the pit lane, I think, on the next lap then, to of course try and get rid of those medium compound tyres that he's on as we go down towards turn 1 now. And yeah, like I said, waiting for all the guys to catch up to the back of the safety car queue. Of course, the field was quite a lot spread out then, because all the battling had been unfolding since lap 1 to lap 37, I think it was, whenever the safety car came out for Hungry Styles' collision then. And he is out of the race then, the only retirement so far in this Grand Prix as well then. But waiting for the drivers to catch up to the back of the safety car queue as well then. I think they might be having to adhere to a nice little good stuff indeed then. Right then, the race leader has caught up. Well, the race leader has caught up as Jinner has picked up a 3-second penalty under the safety car, which is bad news for Jinner then, because of course that is very difficult stuff indeed to try and get. A bit of a challenge to try and get yourself a 3-second penalty under the safety car, that is. But nonetheless, that is the case then. Here we go then down the main straight then, and we will wait and see then if we can get ourselves back into the racing seat. Very soon indeed. Then we've got another lap or two, I think, before the safety car has actually caught up everybody into the train. Then, so we'll have to wait and see then when the coming in. But at the moment, everyone is soldering on. Then we're gonna have I think 13 laps to go to the end of the race. I think from here. That's if it comes in this lap. But I don't think it's going to be in this lap then for Farf and Cam both back in the pit lane as well then. So they are back in the pits then for both the Haas and the AlphaTauri team onto another set of soft compound tyres then, as Farf has gone from one lap old softs to 1 lap old softs, which is great. Yeah, that's very good stuff indeed then from Farf. But well done indeed then for everyone to carry on in this race, apart from Styles then, who is out at lap 37 then, causing the safety car here. We're just waiting for the safety car to bunch up the field, then we're waiting for the 2 cars then who just come out the pit lane of New Zealand Cam and Farf as well. The queue then, once we've got them back in the queue, we can get ourselves restarted here then for the race itself. And we can crack on then for the rest of the Italian Grand Prix then. Of course, penalties will be added on to the race time. So that is going to be 3 seconds for Vessia, 3 seconds for Ekmans, 9 seconds for Kamara Racer, 3 for Liam Yeh, 3 for Kaidel, 5 for Vintage, then 8 for Zicker, 3 for Martin, 6 for Gilla, and 6 for New Zealand Power, and 3 for Farf. But those penalties, of course, will be added onto their race time unless they make another stop then, for those who've got 5 second penalty, that is. But of course, that will be, we'll have to wait to see then who's going to do what then. Everyone seems to be carrying on at this stage. We're just waiting for New Zealand Cam then and Farf to catch up with the queue. I think the safety car will come in at the end of this lap anyway now. Cooper seems to be going very slowly there down the main straight. We've got himself sorted now. But like I was saying, I think the safety car will be in this lap anyway now, because it's going to give up waiting for Farf and for New Zealand Cam as well at some point. And I think it will be coming in at the end of lap 41 then, which means we'll have 12 laps of racing then to the end of the race here, at the end of the Italian Grand Prix then for the 100% League then, for season 2, round 6 as well then. Good stuff indeed. Right then, I think we'll hopefully be back underway very shortly, and we can crack on then. Let's have a look and see who is going to come out on top then. Will the mediums come out on top, or will the softs, is the question, and we'll find out. And there we are then. So right, we'll have to wait and see then. Very good, very shortly we will get ourselves restarted then for this Italian Grand Prix. I would imagine the notification will be coming out very shortly indeed from the safety car that will be coming in this lap. Then Bert Mylander will get himself parked back into the pit lane and get himself sorted out then, and back into the box then, and away from all of us. We don't want to see him ever again in this race, so we can get himself back into the pit lane and go into hibernation then, until we need him again. But I don't think we need him at all, really, to be fair. Good stuff indeed then. I think everyone's caught up now, so the safety car should hopefully be back in this lap then. We'll have to wait and see. Yes, it is. Good stuff indeed. Then safety car in this lap then, so Vessia now has to slow the pack down then, of course, wait for the safety car to get back into the pit lane, and we can restart the Italian Grand Prix on lap 42 of 53, then 12 laps to the end of the Grand Prix from here, and we will see who is going to come out on top now as well then. Good stuff so far. Unfortunately, one retirement so far, and that was Hungry Star, the cause of the safety car as well. Then there's the safety car now through Parabolica, then can get himself back in the pit lane, and Vessia can drop the hammer then whenever he wishes now, I think, as we get ourselves back underway there for some green flag running here in Monza. Once again then on to lap 42 of 53, then we have got ourselves restarted here as well now. Gordo all over the back of Marky then with the extra pace on the soft compound tyres then as well. I think it's going to be very close indeed. It could be a McLaren 1-2 if it finishes this way. And that's if Gordo can get himself past the Williams as well, that is. As into turn 1 we go then, and Marky keeps hold of P2, I should say. Lucas Percy and Kiki switching places as well. I think Kiki then might have just let Lucas Percy through then after the mishap then on the previous stint then, before the safety car came out. Now all over the back of Kamara Racer as well is Lucas Percy then trying to push the Alpine through, and can he get himself ahead there into the chicane? Yes, he can there on the brakes. Much later on the brakes then for Lucas Percy then, as Kamara Racer drops down to P6 there as well then. Good stuff indeed. Farver's got himself past New Zealand Cam then, up into P18 now as well then, after getting himself past the AlphaTauri as well then. One AlphaTauri struggling, one AlphaTauri on the attack here as well. Lucas Percy is flying at this stage of the race as well then. Good stuff indeed. Of course, the penalties will be added on to their race times as well. Kamara Racer now dropping down behind Kiki, is he? And Kiki back up into P6 now as well, then past the Alpine driver of Kamara, and into the points pen position, well, into the higher points pen position as well then. Coop now all over the back as well. Then this is going to be action-packed, I think, to the finish line here, because they're going to be so close on pace as well now down towards the final few laps. Then Far picks up the penalty through Ascari, and that is bad news for him. He's past Martin though into P17. Then RTB and Vintage switching places as well. Beat now up into P14. There's action all over the back here as well as Coop is all over the back of the Alpine of Kamara Racer up in the order. Then Marky and Gordo switching places now. Gordo up into P2, then he's got the inside, he's got the move there up into P1. Oh, sorry, P2. Net P1, to be fair, with penalties then for Vessia coming his way. Then Equaz as well, with penalties are going to be ruining the chances as well, potentially, if he can't get himself far enough ahead of Lucas Percy and the rest of the pack as well. Then down the order, then everyone seems to be slotting into play, as Kamara, I think, is starting to struggle on those medium compound tyres compared to those on fresher softs, though. But I think it might come back to him towards the end of this stint. You'll never know. We'll have to wait and see. 43 laps completed, then we're only on. We've only got 10 laps to go then at the end of this lap. And here comes an AlphaTauri then on Vintage, and flying through then up into P18 then for New Zealand can then past Vintage in the Red Bull. It seems to be struggling, unfortunately, for Vintage there out. He's not having a great time after the halfway point of this race, and he was going strong, looking for the points paying positions at one point at the early stages of the Grand Prix. Blimey, the action is heating up here as well then in Monza. I'm getting a bit sweaty, if you couldn't tell. So there we are then. But so far so good then here in Monza. It's been a pretty epic race there to unfold. And now the safety car has made it a bit more interesting, a bit more spice has been added to this Italian pasta, I suppose you could say. And now we go on to lap 44. Then DRS has been enabled there, and there is now a 10 laps remaining in this Grand Prix. Gordo is lining up a move then for the first place there in this race. There at one point it looked like Gordo was going to be struggling in this Grand Prix. Oh, there's a late move there from Markey, and Markey's got a 3-second penalty added onto his time as well for that move as well. Well, that's bad news indeed then for the Williams driver. That is going to be costly indeed. Here comes Gordo. Then he's taken the race lead. Can he scamper away now ahead of his rivals? Then all of them got penalties added up to their tallies then as well. Lucas Percy could be on the podium still, actually, with this with all the penalties there added up in front of him, and he could still be in the charge then for the championship at this rate as well. Then Kiki has got himself past Cooper's got himself past Kamara Racer, I should say, and up into P7 now. Kamara Racer having struggle out there then with those old medium compound tyres, and I think would have been better off placed to pick into a set of soft compound tyres to chase on the leading pack then in this Grand Prix. Yeah, now all of the back goes down towards the sky. Can he get himself past? Yes, he can. Then up into P8 now for the Alfa Romeo driver, then chasing down the driver ahead of as well, then into the Ascari chicane, and good stuff indeed. Vessia now all over the back of his teammate as we go down towards Parabolica once again. Then here comes Markey as well, then looking to shape for a move, but not quite. Then into Parabolica, then he has to sit behind. Then these four then are dropping Lucas Percy at this stage. Then this could be good news for the drivers with penalties. Then if they can get outside of Lucas Percy's gap, then to gap the penalties as well. Then of course Vessia then has got 3 seconds there we added to his race time. Potentially could still get himself on the podium then if he can get himself far enough ahead then of the battling pack. Then into turn 1 we go. I think we've had, no, I thought that was a McLaren going very wide then, but it wasn't, thankfully. But they've got themselves sorted. Then Kiki and Lucas Percy resuming their battle once again, then these two. And hopefully they can go as a bit cleaner than this time. On to lap 45 then of 53 then. It's 9 o'clock here in the UK then, and we are flying through this race then. It's been fantastic for me because personally I would like to have a nice little sleep after this one. But it has been a very good stuff, very good race indeed then to commentate on and to watch as well then. All drivers have done a fantastic job so far in this Grand Prix then. 45 laps have been completed almost, and we are on to the final stretch now. 8 laps to go then here in Italy, as here we go then down towards Ascari once again then for the McLarens and for Markey and for Equaz, then extending the gap then to Lucas Percy once again as they try and stretch the gap then to the rivals without any penalties. Then Moomin has got himself past Kamara Racer then into Ascari chicane. He's up into P9. Blimey. Nearly burped then, but he's got himself up into P9 then, and ahead there of the Alpine of Kamara Racing. Now Kaidel is onto the fight as well now for the points paying position as well. Then Serious Mushroom is still on for points as well, same for R2B actually as well. Then with the penalty situations for the drivers ahead of him as we go through into Parabolica, then for those drivers then up in front, then Lucas Percy and Kiki switching places there into turn 1. Vessia and Gordo as well then into turn 1. The McLaren switch places, then Kiki has got himself ahead there of the AlphaTauri of Lucas Percy. Kamara Racer is ahead again then of Moomin. Is there is contact between the two of them through turn 1 and 2 and into turns 2. Then Moomin is ahead still just about then of the Alpine driver. Then both the Alpines all over the back now of the Aston Martin for the final points paying position as well as it stands then. It's not for the final point position, it's for P9 actually. So there we go, then actually getting it wrong. Into the second chicane we go then, and looks like Kamara Racer is still all over the back, and Sickens Muck is joining the battle, same for Serious Plus, and then R2B is trying to get himself into the battle then as we go through into the first Lesmo now as well then. Out in front then, let's have a look and see what Vess is up to. Can he get himself back past Gordon then into the Ascari chicane? He has to sit behind, he's not going to go for a dive bomb there, that's pretty too dangerous then for Vessia. Then that could cost both the McLarens potentially a 1-2 in this race as well then. We will wait and see then. But out in front at the moment then, it is looking good indeed from McLaren. Then Marquis is all over the back of them as well then, as we go down towards the final turn then for the 46th time now, as the laps are flying through then here in Monza. Then New Zealand camp is double penalty as well then. Unfortunately, New Zealand camp, he is not having a great time out there because the setup is the wrong one for his AlphaTauri then around Monza. But he has done a great job, to be fair, of soldiering on and not giving up in this Grand Prix. Vessia takes back the lead. Here comes Lucas Percy back on Kiki, back into P5, I should say then, for the AlphaTauri. Then the driver then got himself through. Then Kaidel has got himself through. So has Kamara Racer then on Moomin, and up into the top 10 then for both the Alpine drivers then, and covering off the attempt then of the switchback then from Moomin Ninja into turn 2 as well then for Kamara Racer. Good stuff indeed then. Kaidel and Kamara Racer both got penalties as well, though that will be added onto their race time. So Moomin is still technically in the points pair position, I think, at this stage of the race. Onto lap 47 then of 53. Then we are powering through these laps here as well then onto the through the second Lesbo onto the back straight as well once again. Then here comes Gordo on the attack now of his teammate. Can he get himself back through, or will he do the same thing and wait behind? He is going to wait behind again here into the Ascari chicane then, and that is good stuff indeed. Good teamwork indeed from the McLaren team as they are battling on here indeed. Let's have a look at the penalty situation then, as here is the penalties then. 3 seconds then for Vessia. Then that would keep him in the podium places, I think, with the penalties then for Marquis and for Ekpaz as well. Looks like Lucas Percy is 2.5 seconds behind Ekpaz, so he would get that place, but I think he would lose out then to Marquis, and Marquis would still get the podium places. As it stands, Gordo is leading the Grand Prix, or winning the Grand Prix then, without the penalty situation then for the drivers, with the driver penalties around him as well. Then here he goes then into P1 then on track, and takes the position away from his teammate then into turn 1 we go then once again. Lucas Percy and Kiki switching places again then into turn 1 this time. Kiki is now ahead then of the AlphaTauri. Then Liam Yair is brought up to this battle as well. Then Vessia and Marquis switching places as well. Marquis round the outside at Curva Grande up into P2. Then he takes the place then on lap 48 then of 53. Liam Yair has got himself past Kiki as well then. Kiki struggling out of turn 2 then, has lost out to the Alfa Romeo. Then both the Alfa Romeos looking strong in the last few laps, the last few phases of this Grand Prix. Here comes Serious Mushroom then, and Sick as Muck as well is diving down the inside. There's all sorts of issues then, as Kamara Racers lost out to both the Aston Martins as well. Then Serious Mushroom up into P10 and takes the place away from the Aston Martins as well. Then good stuff indeed. Then it looked like a bit of a dodgy move that did, but fair play to both of them. They get themselves through as well. Then Liam Yair's got himself past Lucas Percy here as well. Then up into Ascari. Then Liam Yair up into P5 now, looking strong indeed out on circuit. Then I think the penalty situation then would favour Lucas Percy, Kiki and Coop then, so we're dropping back down to P8 then, but still a good result so far for Liam Yair, who was actually struggling at the back of the field then in the opening laps of this race. If you remember back that far, it's quite a long way away, to be fair. I've completely forgotten about it, to be honest. There we go then. But so far so good. Then here comes Lucas Percy then on the back of on the attack now, actually, I could say, of Liam Yair. Then Gordo has been passed by Marquis. Then Marquis now takes the lead of the Grand Prix. Lucas Percy gets himself back up into P5 then on the Alfa Romeo then of Liam Yair. Then into turn 1 we go, then slowing the car down, and Kiki, where is Kiki going? Blimey, Kiki almost flying off the circuit. He's got a 3-second penalty for corner cutting as well then, and I don't think Kiki was thinking about the braking zone then. He just seemed to want to carry on straight on then, but unfortunately he had to slow the car down. Then he's got a 3-second penalty for his troubles as well then, as that'll be added on to his race time at the end of the Grand Prix, as Gordo now is back down into P2 then, but he's now got a Williams ahead of him instead of his teammate, and trying to get himself back past on lap 49 of 53. Driver of the day is out in the comment section. I'll change to the position changes as well, then, so you can see who's done what. You can see Gordo, Vessia, Ekraz and Coop are your driver of the day nominations as well then. It's been a pretty epic Grand Prix, to be fair, this one. I've thoroughly sweating through my ALR hoodie. If you haven't got an ALR hoodie from the shop yet, go and get one. Here you can see the fantastic ALR hoodie. So yeah, go and get that indeed. Driver of the day is out in the comment section. Get your votes in then for the driver of the day nominations then in the comment section. Of course, they will get a nice little driver of the day graphic and the social posts after the race. But here we go then, down the main straight once again then for Gordo. Can he mount an attack then for the race lead? On track this is. Penalties of course will be added up then at the end of the race, then added on to their race time then. So Marquis, Vessia, Ekpaz and Liam Yair then are all in the frame then to potentially lose places then with the penalties they picked up throughout the Grand Prix. Lucas Percy back up into P5 at this stage of the race then, looking strong. Coop and Kiki once again battling away. Kiki gets another 3-second penalty. I'm not quite sure what Kiki's up to because he's having a few issues through turn 1, it would seem. But he has lost out and got another penalty then for his troubles as well. Then Kiki having a few troubles out there. Kamara Racer is having a few troubles out there as well. Then I think he's lost a few wills to live. I think unfortunately, yes, he's with the penalty situation then for Kamara. Then and after having a good race, I think he just got the strategy wrong then with the safety car coming out then on lap 37. Then I think he needed to pit then for a fresh set of soft compound tyres. But that is my opinion. Then of course I'm not always correct. But there we go then into the Ascari chicane. We go then side by single file, I should say, then between the Williams and the two McLarens as well. Then Equaz they're holding on in this place as well. Then for 4 seconds now the gap to Lucas Percy on lap 50. Then we're going to have 3 laps remaining then at the end of this Grand Prix. Gordo goes ahead then, Marky goes ahead then of Gordo into the Parabolica turn then, and he's got the position ahead of the McLarens now as well then into the next lap as well. Then lap 51 has commenced now. 3 laps remain here in Italy for the 100% lead, that is. Of course, there's more Italian action coming up as well. Then here we go, then McLaren of Gordo then on the attack. Then he's got himself back up into the race lead. Then here comes Marky. Then he stays behind for the time being, and Liam Yeh gets himself back past into P5 ahead of Lucas Percy as well. Then good stuff indeed. Then Kiki then is struggling on. He's got himself through turn 1 this time, thankfully, which is good news. Kaidel then is on the fight. Then Sirius Russian is now on the fight as well. Then for Kaidel's position as well. He's in the DRS range now into P10 then, and he could potentially get himself 2 places down up into P8 then at the end of this Grand Prix then, with the penalty situation then for Kiki and for Kaidel ahead of the Ferrari driver. Good stuff indeed. Right then, it's been pretty exciting stuff so far. Like I said, we've done 51 laps of pretty much action every lap, to be honest. I can't keep up with it all. But there we are then. This is your classification so far as it stands. Then these are the position changes as well. Then 6 places for Marky and for Gordo, 6 places for Equaz then, and 7 for Livia. Both the Alfa Romeos, they're gaining a lot of places in this race so far. Then Coop up 2 places then as well. Then could gain some more then with the penalty situation ahead of him as well. 10 for Sirius Russian then, 2 for Moomin, 4 for Beat then as well. Then Beat could be holding on to potentially a last points paying position as well. Then as Moomin and Sirius Russian battling away then into the Parabolica turn, and Moomin now has got himself ahead now of the Ferrari driver. Then RGB, there were no penalties. He could get himself potentially a final points paying position or 2 here. Down 10 for Ginner, unfortunately, as Gordo and Vessia, come back to that battle, and Gordo and Vessia switching places. There's contact on the back of the Williams there from Vessia there, but they've switched places, have the McLarens, but not ahead of the Williams driver of Marky. They're on to lap 52 of the final lap then, as Ginner is in the pit lane there. So I think Ginner going for the fastest lap point. Good stuff indeed from Ginner there for soldiering on in this Grand Prix then. Oh, blind. Onto the penultimate lap then. Farf is also in the pit lane. I think we've had an issue then. For Vintage and Kamara Racer then in turn 1 and 2. And blimey, these two have not had a great finish to the race after having a good strong start there in the first half. It has not gone well for them in the final half, unfortunately, for these two, as we crack on then in this race then for the last couple of laps and last couple of corners then in this Grand Prix as well. Then this is looking pretty good indeed. Then I'm going to vote in the I think I'll randomly vote. I think I'll do a random vote. There we go. So there we are then. Good stuff indeed. And so there we are into the final lap very shortly for the Italian Grand Prix. It's been an epic race, to be fair, and it's been a pleasure to commentate on it because it's been absolutely fantastic. Battles all over the field then, and battles once again commencing then on the final lap. Here comes Vessia then on the attack, and potentially he could get himself back into the race lead then, but I don't think Marky is going to have too much to say about that as we go darkly to the inside then. A late move then from the McLaren driver, but he's got the inside now for turn 1 then. Can Marky go around the outside of the McLaren? Not quite. Then he's stopped in his tracks almost there as Marky then, as Gordo's been almost forced onto the grass then as well then, I think, because Marky was being pushed by his Gordo's teammate then, very slightly then through into the Curva Grande we go then. Here comes Liam Yeh and Lucas Percy side by side there into the Curva Grande, and Liam Yeh is ahead now of the Alpha Tauri then. Gordo is right behind Marky, but Marky now is in behind Vessia as well. Penalty situation then is not looking good then for one McLaren. It's looking great then for Gordo as it stands as well then, if he can keep it clean then from the last few laps, or last 3 corners I should say. We're on the final lap now of the Italian Grand Prix then. Equaz there is clinging onto the back of the top 3 I should say then at the moment, as Lucas Percy trying to get himself back past Liam Yeh then down to Ascari as well then. Cooper's waiting in the wings as well. Here comes Marky, then Marky takes, oh dear, there's all sorts of issues then as Marky's gone off the circuit, then Marky has lost the car. And Gordo's kind of spin as well. Then Gordo's lost out, and this is going to be terrible news indeed. Marquis kind of problem then through Ascari, and this is going to be very costly indeed. Then could Vessia keep the race win here? I think it's going to be close indeed. Through Parabolica we go then, and here comes here comes Vessia, sorry, through the final couple of corners then to win the Italian Grand Prix. He's going to cross the line, and I think he's going to take P1. He's got the position, he's got the race win then, and Equaz there slots into P2, Gordo P3 then, and blimey, Lucas Percy P4. Not sure what happened with Markey there at the final stages of the race then, but blimey, he has lost out massively there and out of the top 10 as Lucas Percy finishes P3. Coop P5, Liam Yare P6, then Sirius Mushroom in P7. Good stuff indeed from Sirius Mushroom, then Kiki in P8. Then after recovering after this race, then Gordo has left the session. Then Kaido in P9, then Movement Ninja in P10. Marky there with that whatever happened at the Ascari chicane, then dropping out of the points. Then on the final lap, R2 beat their P12 there, struggling to get himself back in the race there after the spin as well. Then Martin in P13, Sickers Muck P14, Vintage P15, Camaro P16, New Zealand Cam P17. Top 3 drivers, and there is your classification then for the Italian Grand Prix. As there we go, then there is Vessia, then there is Gordo in P1 and P2, then Vessia takes the win, Gordo P2, and then Equaz in P3 on the final podium place. Then Lucas Percy in P4, Coop in P5, Liam Yare P6, then Sirius Mushroom in P7, Kiki P8, then Kaidel P9, Movement Ninja in P10, Markey dropping out of the points then on the final lap then in P11, then RTB P12, Martin in P13, Sickers Muck in P14, Vintage P15, Kamara Racer in P16, New Zealand Cam there P17, and Gina in P18, Favre P19, and Hungry Styles was the only retirement in that Grand Prix. Blimey, good stuff indeed. Well, that was a fantastic race. I'll just get the telemetries, get the screenshots sorted, because I don't think anybody's doing that. Hopefully we can get the interviews underway very shortly as well then. Sirius Mushroom has said that it's not good for him, not good from his point of view, but he could get himself a P7 in the end there. So good stuff indeed. Then hopefully we can get some interviews underway then very shortly, and we will find out then. We will find out what's going on here. But we will wait and see. Hopefully somebody can sort them out very quickly indeed. And we will get ourselves underway very shortly for some interviews then. But well done indeed to all the drivers who finished the Grand Prix. They were absolutely fantastic then to cross the line. Let me just add them in myself then, I think. Right then, well, I think we'll just wrap up the stream then as well, because fantastic stuff indeed then. Great stuff from all the drivers then who have just crossed the line then in this Italian Grand Prix, and well done to all the drivers then who have put on a show here tonight. Then we will see you very shortly. There's more action coming up then. Of course, Gold is back on Sunday in Monza here as well. Then same for Silver then on Monday night, and same for Bronze then on Tuesday night as well then. And good stuff indeed. We will crack on then for the Italian Grand Prix. We'll see you very shortly then for some more racing from Gold, Silver, and Bronze. And next week for the 100% League, we're in Bahrain then for a bit of a preview of the Bahrain Grand Prix. So good stuff indeed for that one. Stay tuned for that, and we'll see you very soon.